Chapter 121. Roar. A pair of large green hands directly pressed against the big mouth of the first mutant monster that arrived. After Noah threw Banner out, the already panicked Banner saw a bloody mouth coming towards him. In an instant, the adrenaline in his body surged, gamma energy began to riot, and Banner transformed into Hulk form again. Hulk's eyes were wide open, his face was ferocious, and his muscles were throbbing. Banner's shirt had burst open, leaving only a pair of elastic underwear made of unknown material. At this time, Hulk held his hands against the big mouth of a mutant lizard. This mutant lizard was also extremely huge, with a body length of more than 5 meters, and many bone spurs protruding from the spine on its back. Its 2-meter-long thick tail slapped the ground crazily during its struggle, creating small pits. Lizard. Hulk hates it. No matter how the giant mutant lizard struggled, Hulk held its upper and lower jaws firmly, and the sharp teeth could not cut Hulk's tough skin. With a roar from Hulk, he exerted force with his big palms, and with 2 clicks, the lizard's teeth and mouth were directly crushed. Then Hulk pulled with both arms, tearing the lizard's mouth up and down, and the lizard's mouth was directly torn open, and green blood gushed out like a fountain. Hulk roared, shook off the broken jaw of the monitor lizard, and then smashed the monitor lizard, which was struggling madly due to severe pain, and directly broke a tree. Then there was no sound. Hulk shook off the green blood on his arm, then turned and looked at Noah, gritting his teeth. He knew this black guy. It was he who had used some small things to release electric current to numb him before. "Don't rush to cause trouble for me, just look over there." Seeing this, Noah pointed behind Hulk. Hulk was stunned, and just as he was about to turn his head to look, a group of huge strange dogs rushed towards him. Hulk subconsciously raised his hand to block them, but he only blocked one strange dog. The other strange dogs rushed towards Hulk one after another. Under the impact of a group of strange dogs as big as calves, Hulk was unable to keep his balance and fell to the ground. The strange dogs were biting Hulk crazily, and their mutated fangs could actually penetrate Hulk's skin. Hulk angrily swung his arms, trying to shake off the strange dogs in his hands, and twisted his body left and right, trying to get rid of the strange dogs pressing on him. Roar. The pain in his body made Hulk roar in anger. This anger increased Hulk's strength. His huge body visibly grew larger, and his strength also soared. The huge fist began to frantically hammer the strange dog that was biting his arm. After several blows, the dog's head was directly flattened. Then he broke free from the suppression of the group of strange dogs. This group of huge strange dogs could not completely surround and suppress a prey, even if the opponent was also very large. Hulk stood up and rushed towards the group of strange dogs angrily, fighting with them. Noah was not in a hurry to take action when he saw Hulk punching the dogs. He suddenly felt that Hulk was an outrageous existence. Some blood could create such a powerful mutant monster. However, the birth of Hulk should be just a coincidence, which could not be replicated. More and more mutant creatures arrived at the scene, but the mutant creatures surrounding Hulk were already full, and those mutant creatures could only hover around the edge with a covetous look. Those mutant creatures with venom glands sprayed venom from time to time, which fell on the pile of monsters. Hulk and some mutant creatures were all contaminated with venom, and their skin was directly corroded. However, these minor wounds were not fatal to Hulk. The pain only intensified Hulk's anger, causing his strength to surge again. The mutant creatures were knocked away by Hulk one after another, falling to the ground or on tree trunks like a puddle of mud, but the vacant positions were soon filled by other mutant creatures. Some mutant creatures also noticed Noah's presence and began to attack him. Although their primary goal was to target Hulk, their violent emotions caused them to attack any object that appeared in their field of vision. Several thick yellow lightning bolts hit the mutant creatures that pounced on Noah, knocking them down from the air to the ground. They were covered in black smoke and twitching constantly. Then several sword energies fell and cut them in half. Noah held the plasma-forged battle blade in his hand, danced with the blade, and then swung the blade to cut off the group of mutant cats that pounced on him. The laser shot out and hit the mutant venomous snakes and mutant lizards that had been spraying venom from a distance. The laser passed through, creating several hot bloody holes. Noah accurately hit their brains. Without the control of their brains, they collapsed to the ground powerlessly, leaving only their bodies still twitching due to nerve reactions. Swish, swish, swish. There were sounds of flapping wings in the air, and a bunch of mutated strange birds swooped down densely. Their mutated green feathers were disorganized, their beaks were sharper, and their claws were sharper. These originally small and cute birds had grown into strange birds with a wingspan of more than 2 meters. Noah raised his hand, and a beam of light emanated from it. It was the holy light from the guardian angel in the equipment column. The holy light was used to save, but in Noah's hands, it could also be used to destroy. The white light that melted everything burst out like the sun in the forest under the night sky. The flock of birds swooped down, letting out sharp screams, and then melted like ice cream, dissipating in wisps of mist. The mutant creatures that were closer to them also had their surfaces slowly melting, but they also retreated, crawling and rolling, covering their eyes and staying away from Noah. The effect is good. This is the first time I use the power of the guardian angel in battle. Noah closed his open fingers, and the deadly white light dissipated. Bang! 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 Hulk also briefly ended the battle, because the mutants retreated a distance under Noah's white light, so the encirclement around Hulk was temporarily unfilled. Hulk used several powerful Hulk slams to knock all the mutants around him away. At this time, Hulk was several times bigger than his initial transformation. The setting of Hulk is that the angrier he is, the stronger he is. The Hulk in the movie universe also has this setting, but it is not as perverted as in the comics. Hulk was surrounded by a pile of mutant corpses, and green blood was spilled all over the ground. There were still many mutants around him. Although Noah's holy light temporarily delayed their attack, they were filled with anger again after a while. They had forgotten the terrifying holy light just now and launched a charge again. In Noah's perception, although there were still some mutant creatures coming from behind, there were not many of them. This wave of mutant creatures seemed to be just a small diversion, and the main force seemed to be still on Warwick's side. Mau Mau, you come on too. Today's scene is perfect for trying out some of our moves. 2 bronze gauntlets appeared in his hands, and Noah decided to try out the results of his training over the past few days. Chapter 122. Go ahead. Hat hat. Noah pointed forward with his left hand wearing the bronze gauntlet. The gem on the gauntlet flashed, and a blue arcane missile shot out. The missile hit a mutant monkey that was jumping towards Hulk, and blue magic fireworks burst out. The mutant monkey was also blown away by the arcane missile. This mutant monkey seemed to be a mutated gibbon. After the mutation, its arms were abnormally thick, much larger than its body. Its muscular green fists looked like Hulk's arms. At this time, a mutant monkey of the same species was fighting with Hulk, but Hulk soon tore off its arms. It was too young to compete with Hulk in strength. OM. A purple sword energy was thrown out, cutting several mutant creatures in half. Noah had already put on Cassaden's purple gauntlet on his right hand, which was also a matching piece of equipment with the bronze gauntlet on his right hand, but it turned purple after being stained by the power of the void. Noah held a knife in his right hand, and the purple gem on his right hand flashed. A stream of void energy surged out, wrapping the long knife in his hand, forming a void blade. The blade formed by energy was constantly fluctuating. Although the tough skin of the mutants could withstand the attack of ordinary blades, under the void blade, it cut through the mutants' bodies effortlessly like a hot knife cutting cheese. After killing several mutants, Noah swung the sword again, and a fan-shaped purple shock wave gushed out from the void blade. The destructive void energy surged in the air, annihilating some objects that blocked the path. It's still the void energy that works well, Noah said as he looked at the effect of this void energy pulse. The energy in the void dimension is pure energy in its original form, without any special effects, but you can explore this power full of possibilities yourself. Noah's power is somewhat similar to the disintegration ray of the Big Eye, but it still doesn't reach the level of the Big Eye. The death cap of the destroyer that Noah had sent out at the beginning had begun to spit out magic flames, just like a magic bomber, spitting out blue magic bullets and spitting out hot magic flames. Each magic bullet had amazing power and destructive power. Every mutant creature that was hit had its skin instantly dissolved by the magic bullet and penetrated into its body, and then the magic bullet exploded in its body, directly blowing it into pieces. Endless magic flames gushed out, and the area under the magic hat was instantly ignited, and a stream of hot air instantly spread out. When the magic flames touched the mutant monsters, they let out sharp screams that tore their hearts and lungs apart, crawled and rolled, and ran around wildly, trying to struggle to escape from the sea of fire, but everything was in vain. The hot magic flames melted the monsters into meat residue, and then evaporated into gas. The blue magic flame was burning fiercely, and the trees in the forest became fuel for the flame. At this time, even from the distant city, the blue fire could be seen, the flames licked the sky and continued to spread outward. The magic hat that caused all this was still spewing flames, and its split mouth seemed to be laughing, like a terrifying devil. Those flying mutant creatures did attack the magic hat, but the magic hat's agile body was able to easily twist their attacks, and then several magic bullets were fired, smashing them to pieces. Noah certainly noticed such a big commotion, but he didn't expect that his own hat was so powerful. It was hard for Noah to associate this situation with the time when Gwen chased him around at home all day. It was quite a contrast. The mutants hid from the area burning with blue flames. Although they were now furious, the fear of fire was engraved in their genes, especially such a terrifying high-temperature flame. Therefore, more mutants came to Hulk and Noah. Hulk was still using his increasingly violent strength to beat away all the mutants that rushed towards him. Noah also killed these mutants in various ways, with lightning, sword energy, holy light, laser cannons, and all kinds of lights flashing. Several portals opened under the mutants, allowing them to fall directly into the portals while running wildly, and then a few drops of magma splashed. Noah teleported them to an active volcano crater, hoping that they would not die, and maybe they could defeat the magma and evolve into flame creatures. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Several purple beams flew out, and the mutant creatures that were hit paused, then shrank directly in a ball of purple light and turned into some small and cute creatures, and then were crushed by the mutant creatures behind with a snap. Noah was having fun, but Hulk was having a hard time. It wasn't that he couldn't beat him. The main target of these mutants was Hulk, so most of them swarmed towards Hulk. The larger mutants were still okay, as Hulk could knock them away with one punch. What makes Hulk most angry are those small mutant creatures, such as some small lizards and some insects. They will climb on Hulk to attack him. Some of them even carry venom, which makes Hulk extremely painful. The most hateful thing is that some of them even want to get into Hulk's elastic pants to attack little Hulk, which almost drives Hulk crazy. Disgusting bugs. Hulk's roar made Noah, who was giving electrotherapy to a bunch of mutants, look sideways. He saw Hulk slapping a few mutants that had climbed onto his back. The most annoying thing for the muscular man was scratching his back, let alone the Hulk. Hulk could only angrily hit the ground with his back, hit other mutants, and knock the mutants behind him off. Noah thought about it, and began to make seals with his hands. The magic runes of Camartage entangled, but Noah's runes were different from those of other mages in Camartage. They were blue runes instead of orange runes. This was his own magic. As Noah completed the seal, a blue energy flew towards Hulk and entangled Hulk's arms. Runes flowed on Hulk's hands and surged towards his huge fist. In Hulk's somewhat puzzled eyes, a spiked glove appeared on his fist, and there were several more protruding spikes on the front of the fist, like a tiger's finger. Magic runes kept flowing on the glove. This was the magic of Camartage to shape weapons, and Noah used it directly on Hulk. What's this? Hulk shook his hands angrily, trying to shake off the thing that suddenly appeared in his hands, but the magic gloves were still firmly fixed on his hands. Even when Hulk became angrier, the gloves would also grow bigger. Just as Hulk was pulling at the gloves on his hands, another huge mutant bull with sharp curved horns on its head rushed towards Hulk. Seeing this, Hulk subconsciously punched hard. Bang! The lower body of the mutant bull flew out and hit a big tree. What? You ask about the upper body? The upper body has been shattered by the magic wave generated by the magic boxing gloves. Around Hulk's fist, waves of magic ripples are still fluctuating in the air. Hulk looked at the boxing gloves in his hand and grinned. Hulk, love this. Seeing that Hulk was already using magic weapons to kill people, Noah added a fixed magic shield behind him so that he didn't have to use the bear rubbing against a tree move. The magic weapons of other mages in Camartage didn't have this effect. It was because Noah added his own powerful magic to the spell that this effect could be achieved. Noah, I suggest you resolve the battle here as soon as possible. The energy of the test machine Warwick has run out. Just as Noah was about to continue mowing the lawn, Lysandra suddenly reminded him in his ear. Hey? No power. Chapter 123. No power. Noah was a little surprised after hearing Lysandra's words, but he thought it was normal. Noah sent Warwick this time with the idea of testing. Since Warwick was just manufactured, Noah did not install too many functions on him. He only had this vibranium body, nanotechnology, and an energy releaser on his back. Warwick's energy mainly comes from the hex energy crystal in his body, which stores a lot of magic power. This is Warwick's main energy source. Of course, he can also use electricity as energy, and even if he can get Tony's arc reactor in the future, he can install it. With multiple energy sources in one, he can exert more powerful power. However, Lysandra has now reminded Noah that the magic power of Warwick's Hextech crystal is no longer enough. Noah did not expect that there would be so many mutant creatures this time. Warwick may have used many energy-intensive moves, which led to a large consumption of magic power in the crystal. Looks like we have to resolve things here as soon as possible. Noah thought. Even with Warwick's vibranium body, he would just stand there without power, and the attack capabilities of these monsters would not be able to break through their defenses. The vibranium in the movie seemed to have only been broken by the weapons of Thanos and Corvus Glaive among the Dark Knights. These mutant creatures certainly didn't have that ability. At this time, the mutant creatures here have been almost killed. After Hulk got the magic gloves, he could kill almost one mutant with one punch. He was no longer afraid of the small mutant creatures. With a clasp of his hands, the magic gloves could release a powerful magic shock wave, and the small mutant creatures could not withstand this impact at all. Not to mention the battle situation on the Magic Hat side, the scene was like the destruction of heaven and earth. All the mutant creatures were wailing in the flames. If others saw this, they would think this was hell. However, Noah felt that this forest fire was a bit troublesome, and he had to put it out later, otherwise it would become a major fire. In Noah's left hand, a white long sword like a work of art appeared. The long sword was called Magic Cut, which could enhance Noah's magic attack and swordsmanship. At this time, Noah held Magic Cut in his left hand and Void Blade in his right hand. Then, the surface of the armor was surging with wind, and the sword energy began to shoot in all directions. The trees and mutant creatures that were hit were directly shattered by the sword energy. Wind swordsmanship is Noah's most proficient ability. The first hero he summoned was Yasuo. After obtaining Yasuo's swordsmanship, Noah practiced diligently. Although he has gained all of Yasuo's understanding of wind swordsmanship, this does not mean that wind swordsmanship cannot be improved. Moreover, Noah's own huge magic power can further enhance the power of wind swordsmanship. Noah wielded his two swords, and the thrusters behind his armor exploded. He then used the wind control sword technique step forward slash. His special footwork made Noah's figure move like a gust of wind, shuttling through the forest. The gusts of wind cut through the bodies of the mutants, and the sword energy that gathered into a tornado also began to roll up sand and blue flames, strangling everything. Noah used the wind control sword technique smoothly. The sword energy and the strong wind blended together, turning into a strong wind that swept the mutant creatures around. The two swords were wrapped in the strong wind. The wind energy of the white demon cut was sharper, and the sword energy of the purple void blade was accompanied by purple void energy. The mutant creatures fell one after another under the two swords. Soon, as a gust of wind passed through the body of the last mutant, Noah dispersed the void blade and put away his two swords. Hulk also scratched his head, turned his head and looked around, trying to find out if there were any more mutants at the scene, and even tiptoed to look at the area full of flames. Although the magic hat was no longer spewing flames, the blue fire was still spreading. With the large amount of combustible materials in the forest, it was already developing into a major fire. Hat, come here. Noah waved his hand and called the magic hat that was hovering above the fire over. The magic hat seemed to be admiring his masterpiece, and its movements were a little giddy. Don't make such a big move next time, otherwise it will be very troublesome for your master to deal with the aftermath. Noah grabbed the brim of the magic hat and pulled it to the left and right. The mouth of the magic hat was also stretched a lot. After Noah let go, the magic hat turned a few circles and then nodded, indicating that it understood. Noah looked at the flames rising into the sky, thought for a moment, and then flew up into the sky. The fire spread quickly, and the magic flames spewed out by the magic hat were so powerful that they could turn a tree into ashes in a few seconds. After Noah flew to a high altitude, he also saw many fire trucks parked outside the forest. It was impossible for them not to notice a fire of this magnitude. Some citizens who were closer to the forest called 911 soon after the fire broke out. Firefighters also began to deal with the situation after arriving at the scene. Although the firefighters did not know why the color of the flames was blue, they still planned to do emergency treatment first. It was difficult for fire trucks to enter the forest to put out the fire, and their water pipes were not long enough, so they planned to dig a fire break to prevent the spread of the fire. Noah had already seen the firefighters entering the forest, but they were on the periphery while Noah was on the inner side, so it was difficult for them to see the scene on Noah's side. Looking at the flames below, Noah drew circles with his hands, and several blue portals opened. Then, streams of water poured out from the portals and rushed towards the flames below. Noah opened the portal in the ocean and used sea water to extinguish the magic flames. However, it was still difficult to extinguish these flames with ordinary water. After all, these were the magic flames spit out by the death cap of the destroyer, so Noah added a little bit of ingredients to the sea water. Under Noah's control, the water column washed the area below. The water column also contained green energy. After the water column washed away, the flames went out, and green sprouts emerged from the dark earth after the fire. It was a rune. He added the rune of determination. When Noah added the life magic of the rune of determination into the sea water, these water columns turned into holy water, which could extinguish the magic flames and bring new life to the charred earth. If one could drink a sip of this, he would prolong his life and live 100 years. The portal closed, and under Noah's manipulation, the flames were extinguished, and green buds representing new life covered the earth. Many years later, a new forest would grow here again. Noah suddenly felt very balanced and in line with the principle of balance. The Ionians believed in the way of survival of cutting down a tree and planting a tree. Okay, it's time to go over there. There seemed to be more mutant creatures on Warwick's side. Noah returned to the ground. After the fire was extinguished, he saw the stunned expressions of the firefighters. He also saw some black vehicles driving behind the fire truck, and some people in black suits got out. Noah knew that these should be the guys from S.H.I.E.L.D., and they seemed to have guessed that this was not an ordinary fire. Hulk, stop looking, there are still a lot of enemies waiting for you to beat. Hulk was squatting down and looking at the green sprouts that were growing. He was a little curious. After hearing Noah's words, he turned and looked at Noah. Hulk frowned and looked at Noah with a grin, then looked down at the magic fist that still existed in his hand and grinned, Hulk. I like to hammer monsters. Then let's go. Buzz. A portal with a diameter of 4 meters opened. At this time, Hulk's body, which was originally more than 2 meters long, had suddenly expanded to about 4 meters, like a little giant. This time he was really the Hulk. There was a sound of electric current flowing in the portal. Noah and Hulk hurried to the portal, and the magic hat followed Noah. Chapter 124. Oh, it's really lively here. There's a big guy. After Noah came out of the portal, he saw many torn and charred mutant corpses scattered on the ground. These were all Warwick's masterpieces. The mutant African elephant that looked like a hill in the distance immediately attracted Noah's attention because it was really too big, with muscles all over its body and a huge nose that kept slapping the ground. However, Noah also discovered something strange. This group of mutants seemed to be directed by someone behind the scenes. The mutants, who were originally irrational and angry, now acted in an orderly manner. Noah had already seen Warwick, who was surrounded by a group of mutants. These mutants would not rush forward all at once. They seemed to be intentionally consuming Warwick's energy. Every time they rushed forward, they lured Warwick to release a large-scale electric shock. As Warwick's energy decreased, the released current became more and more sparse. Noah used his magic to sense the surrounding environment, and then he found something that looked wrong. A few hundred meters away, a mutant bird was hovering in the air. In Noah's perception, this mutant bird seemed to have a strong spiritual power hidden in it. Could it be that this spiritual power was secretly controlling these mutant creatures? Could this be the chief? Does he have psychic powers? Noah didn't know much about the chief. He only knew that he had a big head and was a highly intelligent villain. Now he knew that he had psychic abilities and seemed to be able to attach them to mutant creatures to manipulate these irrational mutant creatures. This is going to be difficult. While Noah was looking at the mutant bird in the distance, the other party seemed to be looking at him as well. Noah and Hulk made a lot of noise when they came out of the portal, so it was impossible for the other party not to notice them. The huge glowing blue portal was very conspicuous in the night. Hulk, that big guy is left to you. Hulk behind him had already started roaring at the mutant creature opposite. Noah said something to Hulk and handed the mutant elephant to Hulk to deal with. Then, Noah raised his hand, and the birds not far away exploded with a powerful force and turned into blood. In a hidden laboratory, a scream suddenly came from the silent laboratory. The leader's eyes burst into blood and he held his big head with both hands and screamed continuously. He had just been attacked by a spiritual force that was many times stronger than his own, and now he felt that his head was about to explode. Not long after, the leader collapsed to the ground, his chest heaving and breathing heavily. He felt that his mental abilities seemed to be temporarily unusable. The attack of that powerful mental force shattered his own mental energy, but he felt that his abilities could be restored, it just took some time to recuperate. That guy, the wind swordsman, I didn't expect he actually has this kind of power. The leader covered his aching head and struggled to get up from the ground. The leader looked around and felt that this place might not be safe anymore. He had to find a place to hide first, recuperate and avoid the limelight. The leader took out a communication device and sent some information to his partner General Ross. Then he threw the communication device to the ground and staggered out of the laboratory. As for Noah, when he found out that the other party saw him and Hulk together, he knew that this mission might not be completed for the time being. The leader obviously knew of his existence and might run away before he could find him. So Noah just dealt a big blow to the opponent, using his powerful mental power to directly crush the opponent's mental power. Noah has integrated multiple heroes, coupled with powerful magic and the blessing of world runes. The strength of his soul is not comparable to that of ordinary people. He easily severely damaged the leader from a distance. After the mutant bird was solved, the mutant creatures lost their leader and became furious again, and their actions became chaotic. Hulk had already rushed to the monster pile and rushed straight towards the huge mutant elephant. The mutant creatures on the road were easily knocked away and smashed by Hulk. Without the control of the leader, the elephant also began to roar crazily, stomping the ground with its forelimbs, and swinging its huge tusks and long trunks crazily. Many mutant creatures that were close to them were accidentally injured and turned into meat patties or skewers on the tusks. In the frenzy, the giant elephant found a green guy rushing towards him. Although his mind was crazy, the giant elephant recognized that this guy was his target. The giant elephant roared and rushed directly towards Hulk. The ground began to shake under the stomping of this heavyweight character. Noah pointed lightly, first shooting a yellow lightning in the direction of Warwick. The chain of lightning directly cleared out all the mutant creatures around him. Then the lightning shot towards the energy storage device behind Warwick, replenishing some of Warwick's remaining energy. "Mau Mau, you can come too, but you can't set fire this time." The magic hat that was named flew around Noah excitedly for a few times, but when it heard that it was banned from fire, it wilted again, but then became excited again and began to fly high into the sky, and then magic bullets fell from the sky and landed on the pile of mutant creatures. Each magic bullet was powerful and destructive, flying down in the air, destroying everything on the ground. Each explosion easily blew a big hole in the ground, and the terrain was changed under the destructive barrage. Boss. At this time, Warwick, who had dealt with the mutant creatures around him, came to Noah's side. "Boss, I failed this mission." "Failure? Not really. Killing so many mutant creatures is already pretty good." After Noah came out of the portal, he found that Warwick had actually killed a lot of mutant creatures, about half of the total number, so his energy was consumed so quickly. "I will upgrade you after we get back, give you more weapons and functions, and expand your energy capacity," Noah said, and then used his magic to freeze a mountain-like corpse flying towards him, and then threw it aside. This was the mutant elephant that was fighting with Hulk, and it had been beaten to a pulp by Hulk. "Yes, boss," Warwick said, and did not stay with Noah, but continued to kill the mutant creatures. With the efforts of the wolf, the hat, and the Hulk, the mutants were defeated and killed in large numbers, while Noah acted as a wizard, throwing lightning and wind blades, as well as various arcane missiles. Soon, there were no more mutants alive at the scene. Roar! After losing his target, Hulk roared, then looked at Noah, as if he wanted to attack him. However, after looking at the magic glove slowly disappearing in his hands, he snorted, gave up the idea of attacking, and turned around to leave. Seeing this, Noah thought for a moment and took out Mikhail's blessing. He wanted to try to use the bell to turn Hulk back into Banner. If not, he could only wait for him to change back by himself or ask his girlfriend to come. Ding! 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 Hulk, who was walking to the other side with his back to Noah, suddenly stopped and turned around. Hulk had a dazed expression on his face, looking at the bell in Noah's hand, then he shuddered, and his eyes seemed to become much clearer. "Where am I?" At this time, Hulk, no, it should not be Hulk, but Banner. Banner looked around, and the sight of the corpses made him feel uncomfortable. Then he suddenly realized that something was wrong with his vision, as if he had become much taller. Banner looked down after noticing the abnormality. "Oh my God!" Banner saw a pair of big green hands, and felt an unprecedented sense of power in his body. He knew his current situation. He was now in the form of Hulk. However, after Banner's sight awakened, Hulk's body slowly shrank and changed into a normal person. Noah saw this and thought that Banner might not want to maintain this form, so his body automatically cancelled the Hulk transformation. Dr. Banner, our mission has been accomplished. Now we just need to go back and check the equipment. But don't hold your hopes too high. We may not be able to find our target easily this time. Banner pulled up his bulging pants, looked at the surroundings and said, the environment here is seriously polluted. We have to deal with it. Noah nodded, opened the portal, and used magic to move all the bodies in. Opposite the portal was the crater that Noah had just used. This place was quite convenient for handling these things. There were no bodies on the battlefield before, as they had all been burned clean by the fire. Oh, and there was also Banner's camping equipment. Okay, when you go back you can study how to eliminate these pollutions. After saying that, Noah opened the portal back to the island laboratory. The two people, the wolf and the magic hat flying in the air, entered the portal together. Mission completed. Chapter 125. Banner and Noah have returned to the island laboratory, intending to follow the original plan and find the traces of the mastermind based on the energy traces detected by the gamma energy detector. However, Noah told Banner after returning that he should not have too much hope, because the mastermind would run away before they found his location. You mean he used a kind of spiritual power to possess a bird? Is this also magic? Banner asked. He had changed into clean clothes after coming back and had come to the front of the detector. It's not magic, it's more like a superpower gained through mutation, similar to when you turned into the Hulk. Noah said. The other party's mental ability is similar to the soul power cultivated by a wizard, but it's not magic, but a superpower. Really? Banner said. There were still many things he didn't know about this world. If wizards like Noah existed, it shouldn't be surprising that things like superpowers existed. Coming to the detector, Banner looked at the screen on the detector's scanning interface. There were 2 more red areas in the forest where he was before. These 2 red areas were the 2 battlefields just now. After killing a large number of mutant creatures, these 2 areas had become gamma radiation disaster areas. Banner zoomed out the detector's detection screen to see a larger detection range, so that he could see the paths these mutant creatures took. Then, based on their paths, he could try to find the guy who created the mutant creatures to cause trouble for him. Let me take a look, this is... Banner looked at the detector's scanning screen. In the screen, the monsters in the 2 red areas seemed to have arrived in the forest from 2 routes respectively. The first wave from Banner and Noah came from the land, while the mutant creatures from Warwick's side seemed to have come from the ocean. How did they get to the land from the ocean? Are there any mutant creatures on the seabed? Banner was a little confused. Probably not. I didn't detect any mutant creatures in the sea. Noah spoke up from the side. He also saw the scanning screen of the detector. There were 2 gamma energy routes on it. One of them did extend from the ocean, but they should all lead to the same destination and come from the same starting point. Noah first told Banner not to worry about how the other party came, but to find out where the other party came from. Banner nodded, and then began to follow the 2 gamma energy trails and tracked back to their starting point. America? It's actually here. Although these relatively weak gamma energy traces will slowly dissipate over time, after all, these gamma energies are not like the situation in the 2 areas of the forest. They are left behind by the corpses and flesh and blood of mutant creatures, so they are relatively weak. However, Banner eventually followed the traces and discovered that these mutant creatures actually came from the United States. They crossed the border between the United States and Mexico from the United States, then avoided densely populated cities and went directly to the forest where they were from sparsely populated areas. Finally, Banner found the source of these mutated monsters. They all came from New Mexico. The group that arrived from the seaside also started from New Mexico, and then arrived at their city XX from the Gulf of California. Well, we've found the place. Let's take a look at what's there first. Noah saw the final location on the scanner, then called Lysandra and asked her to use satellite to bring them the image of this location. However, after the 2 looked at the satellite images provided by Lysandra, they were shocked, because in the picture displayed, a building that seemed to have exploded was burning fiercely, but from the wreckage, it can be vaguely seen that the building was originally a factory. Sure enough, the other party won't wait for us to find him. Noah shrugged. He had anticipated this result when he was fighting just now. Maybe his mission would have to be delayed. Lysandra, can you play the footage before the explosion? Noah suddenly thought that if he could play the footage before the explosion, he might be able to find the other party's true identity and whereabouts. No, Noah, this satellite doesn't have the function of real-time recording. Really? Then there's nothing we can do. America's satellites are useless. Lysandra, we'll build one of our own in a while. Noah shook his head as his idea was shattered. He decided to build a satellite on his side that could directly monitor the world and see what's happening anywhere at any time. Perhaps he could also add things like satellite weapons. Banner was also somewhat helpless. He didn't know how to find the mastermind. The other party was too cautious. After seeing the wind swordsman helping him, he directly abandoned his base and ran away. Banner looked at Noah, wanting to know if Noah had any solution. Lee, what should we do now? The other party is too cautious, and the scanner can't find his escape route. Well, no need to rush. Noah was also thinking at this time, but he felt that there was something he could tell Banner in advance. Dr. Banner, I actually have a guess about the identity of this mastermind. Banner was a little confused when he heard this, and then waited for Noah's next words. You should be familiar with this person, Dr. Banner. Noah communicated with Lysandra, and then a screen appeared with a familiar picture of Banner on it. Dr. Samuel Stern. Banner was of course familiar with this person, because this Dr. Samuel Stern was the Dr. Blue who had helped him. At first, he asked for help from this netizen under the pseudonym Dr. Green online, and later went to him offline, to seek his help in real life. Finally, with the help of the other party, he temporarily suppressed the Hulk in his body. Yes, I guess he is the one who has been targeting you recently. Noah tapped the portrait of Samuel Stern next to him. What? This is impossible. Dr. Stern has helped me a lot before, how could he want to harm me? Banner frowned. He certainly didn't believe that Dr. Samuel Stern would harm him, because they were friends before, the other party had helped him, and he had no reason to target him. Lee, why do you say that? Banner asked. He didn't know why Noah would doubt Samuel Stern. Did he know something that he didn't? Noah wouldn't make up facts. Of course I say that for a reason. Take a look at this, Banner. Noah called up a few more pictures. What is this? Banner widened his eyes, somewhat unable to believe what he saw. Chapter 126. What? This is impossible, what is this? Banner couldn't believe what he saw. In the picture Noah released, a laboratory was filled with bottles and bags of blood. If it was blood, Banner would not be surprised. But what shocked him the most was the font written on the blood. It read Bruce Banner XX/XX/XX. Could it be his own blood? When Banner was on the run, he often mailed his blood to his online friend Mr. Blue in the hope that he could help him find a cure for the Hulk. But Banner didn't expect that the other party would use his blood to make a fuss. Why was there so much blood? He only sent a little blood each time. Is this all my blood? Banner's eyes trembled a little, his eyes widened in disbelief. Yes, Dr. Banner, this is all your blood. After Dr. Samuel Stern obtained your blood, he secretly used your blood for experiments and then copied your blood. Noah clicked a few times, and new information popped up on the screen. Date July 2008, 07. Content Explore. The fusion of blood and human cells. Experimental process, we tried to use mice as experimental subjects to fuse with blood. The result was beyond our expectations. The blood did not seem to fuse with normal cells, and the experimental subjects died. The gamma rays contained in the blood cells are too strong to fuse with normal cells. Such cells are like a poison. Date. Banner frowned as he looked at the information Noah had given him. All these things were obtained by Noah on the day when he first met Banner, which was the day when Abomination was born. At that time, after Banner entered the campus where Samuel Stern was, Noah started playing with his phone in the cafe on the street outside while waiting. However, he was not just playing with his phone. He took the time to let Lysandra invade Samuel Stern's laboratory and obtain these information and photos. Dr. Stern, what did you do? Banner began to rub his temples. All this information made his head start to hurt. He didn't expect that the blood he squeezed out would cause such consequences. Samuel Stern has been experimenting with your blood, first on mice and then on large mammals, but it seems that none of them have been successful. Noah thought, supporting his chin with one hand. Noah remembered that before Banner went to find Samuel Stern, he got all the data from their previous experiments from his girlfriend Betty, and sent this data to Samuel Stern. Perhaps with this information, plus the brain mutation, Samuel Stern's experiment was successful. These are the information I sent to him. Banner checked all the data, and then saw the information he sent to Samuel Stern. Then he realized that his information might be the final boost to the other party's experiment, which made him a little annoyed. No, we must stop him. This power is too dangerous. Banner couldn't help but say loudly. His negligence might bring great disaster to the world. This was something Banner could not tolerate. He had to solve the problem of Samuel Stern as soon as possible. Okay, but I don't know where he has gone now. It will take more time to find him. Noah also wanted to find this cunning guy. After all, he still had a mission to complete. Banner was also thinking of a solution. He was more anxious about this matter than anyone else because he had committed a sin. If any consequences arose, he would also be partly responsible. This was what he thought in his heart. Let's go to this place first, maybe we can find some clues. Noah opened the portal and planned to go to the source of the gamma energy displayed on the detector, that is, the building with flames burning on the display. Dr. Banner, do you want to go with us? Noah looked at Banner, then opened a portal to his home and let Hat go back, so that he would not have to fight anymore. Banner looked up and thought about it. He thought that there shouldn't be any more danger, so he wanted to go and take a look. Banner nodded, then followed Noah into the portal again. As soon as he stepped out of the portal, a rolling heat wave hit him in the face. This heat made Banner feel uncomfortable. After all, he was not in Hulk form now. But for Noah, this was just child's play. The temperature of the fire caused by the magic hat just now was much higher than this. The burning of the flames was mixed with many explosions. Noah used the same trick again and used a portal to summon sea water to put out the fire. Because these were just ordinary flames, Noah did not mix magic power into the sea water this time. He just used ordinary water to put out the fire. Noah wanted to use strong winds to blow out the flames at first, but he was afraid of blowing down the buildings, so he chose not to use wind to put out the fire. Banner on the side was watching in amazement. When Noah put out the fire before, he was still in Hulk form, so his memory was a little vague. But now he saw it with his own eyes, so he was very curious about the power of this magic. Noah and Banner walked into the dark building. As they walked, Noah waved his hand to disperse the thick white smoke. The building had been burned by the flames and no trace of its original state could be seen. It was impossible to tell what it was originally used for. The two walked around for a while and then came to a place that seemed to be the leader's laboratory. There were a lot of debris from the explosion of instruments scattered around, so the two thought this was a laboratory. There is nothing here, nothing can be found. Banner was a little discouraged and kicked the metal fragments under his feet. Noah took a few steps and smelled a smell of barbecue, and then he realized what it was. Noah patted Banner on the shoulder and motioned him to go to the railing in front to have a look. Banner thought Noah had found a clue, so he walked over without hesitation. There was a deep pit under the railing. When Banner came to the railing, his eyes widened. Ugh! Shit! What are these? After Banner saw the scene in the pit, the smell hit him in the face and he couldn't help but dry heave. The pit below the railing was filled with strange-looking corpses. The fire just now seemed to have only burned the upper layer, and the corpses below were not burned. Banner could see the appearance of these corpses. Although they were distorted, Banner could still vaguely recognize the original species of these corpses. There were animals, and there were also many human corpses. Oh my god, has he killed so many people? He has even started to dabble in human experiments. Banner was a little angry, and his tone became increasingly heavier. When he was about to transform, he managed to control his anger. Noah was not that excited. He had seen many dead bodies and had killed many people himself. Noah did not dwell on the pile of corpses. He sensed every area in the laboratory. This was probably where the leader usually stayed the longest. After obtaining Nico's power, he had many insights into the power of the soul, because Nico's transformation ability is to use the souls of other people to transform, just like Noah turned into Thor in Asgard before. After Noah studied in Kamartaj, he also read many books about soul powers there. Therefore, Noah wanted to look here to see if there was any residual soul breath of the other party. Even if there was only a little bit of breath, Noah could collect it, and then go to Kamartaj to see if there was any spell to track people. There are so many books in the Kamartaj library, there must be one that has it. This should work. Noah came to the wreckage of an instrument not far in front of the railing. The leader seemed to have stayed here the longest. Over time, some of the other party's breath was stuck here. If it were other mages, they might not be able to detect this breath, but Noah had the power of Nico and the Shuma, soul, that could sense all things. He was very sensitive to this breath, so he could detect this faint breath. We'll go check out Kamar-Taj later, Noah said. Actually, Noah was not in a hurry. After all, there was no time limit for the mission. He had already completed the B-level mission that was refreshed today. This B-level mission gave him 800 essence points, which he thought was okay. The minimum reward for a B-level mission was 500 points. If it was higher than that, it would be pretty good. Come on, Dr. Banner, let's go back and think of a solution. Chapter 127. The investigation of the scene was quickly concluded. Because it had been burned by the fire, the things left were almost destroyed. Noah and Banner could not find anything. However, Noah also obtained some soul energy from the leader at the scene, hoping to find the leader's location through magic later. Before Noah came back, he left a bunch of small search robots at the scene, asking them to search for useful clues in the ruins and surrounding areas after the fire. Although many useful evidence clues were burned after the fire, there might still be some useful things to be found at the fire scene or in the surrounding areas. However, Noah didn't want to keep searching here, so he sent some small robots here to search for useful clues on his behalf. After the two returned from the factory ruins, Noah did not stay at the island base, but took Warwick, who had been waiting here for a long time, back to the underground laboratory of the manor. Now that the clues are interrupted, Noah will not stay here all the time. He has to go back to deal with Warwick's affairs. There are a lot of combat data and other things that need to be viewed, and the capacity of the magic crystal also needs to be improved. In short, there is something to do. As for tracking magic, Noah plans to ask the librarian of Kamar-Taj to help him find some information about this kind of magic. Dr. Banner, I'm leaving first. Tell Blitz if you need anything. Contact me if there's anything important, Noah said to Banner. Banner has recently been living on this island, and he is quite happy with it. After all, this place is almost isolated from the world, and he will not be disturbed by those who are chasing him. Moreover, the environment is particularly good. Compared with his previous life on the run, this place can be regarded as a paradise. Okay, bye. Banner looked up and responded, then buried his head in continuing to improve the gamma energy detector. Noah nodded, and then took Warwick into the portal and left the scene. Banner's face did not look good after he learned that the mastermind was his friend, Mr. Blue Samuel Stern. Regarding Banner's situation, Noah felt that he might have a strong sense of responsibility, so he was under great pressure after learning the truth. In Banner's eyes, Samuel Stern may have been partly responsible for becoming this kind of person. During his years on the run, Banner first found Samuel Stern on the internet, and then told him about his body in order to seek help. Later, in the communication with him, in order to find a solution to the Hulk problem, he told him a lot of experimental data, which may be the cause of his transformation into this kind of person. Banner knew how dangerous the power in his body was. He had been on the run for so many years to prevent people like General Ross from getting his power and using it to make weapons and start a war. But due to his negligence, this happened after all. Samuel Stern had begun to use the power from the Hulk to wreak havoc on the world. The scene in the corpse pit was still vivid in his mind. So, in order to solve this matter as soon as possible, Banner decided to find a way to improve the detectors so that he could quickly capture Samuel Stern's location. Noah didn't have any special feelings about Banner's sense of responsibility. Banner might feel that he was partly responsible for this matter, so he also had the responsibility to solve the problem he caused. Noah suddenly felt that the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. For people with this spirit, Noah felt that it was indeed good, but he himself would not follow this saying. Noah felt that he did not have such a lofty spirit. He had no interest in being a saint and just wanted to live a more relaxed life. To put it bluntly, Noah feels that the saying "the greater the power, the greater the responsibility" is a bit of moral kidnapping, but this is just his idea. For Noah himself, after gaining such powerful power, he did not become a person who "I don't eat beef," so he feels that he is already pretty good. He is not like Superman, who uses his ability to keep an eye on the world's movements at all times and rushes to rescue people as long as they are in danger anywhere in the world. Noah can only do things like helping others when he sees injustice and does things according to his mood. For example, if Noah is unhappy with the guys in Hell's Kitchen and the Golden Triangle, does he go there every day to complete tasks? Noah may be able to save people all over the world like Superman, but this is too tiring. He is not a saint like Superman. Why think so much? Noah shook his head. After seeing what Banner did, he suddenly thought of many things. He thought it would be better not to think too much. It was good to live his current life well, complete tasks every day, improve his strength, and then prepare for future crises. Okay, Warwick, go recharge first. Noah said to Warwick behind him. In fact, Noah asked him to replenish his magic power. Warwick still uses magic as his main energy source. Okay, boss. Warwick walked to the circular device where he was at the beginning, and the metal tube on top of the device began to connect to Warwick, replenishing his energy that was almost exhausted. The area around Noah was actually full of magic power because of the runes. Even if Warwick didn't use the device, he could directly absorb the magic power in the air to replenish it, but the speed was not as fast as using the device directly to replenish it. Let's go to Kamartaj first. Noah decided to complete the tracking magic first and directly opened the portal in the Kamartaj library. Noah often came to the library to borrow magic books, and he was familiar with the place. It was nighttime at Noah's place, but it was still daytime at Kamartaj. Noah found the librarian who was reading in the library, and he became familiar with the librarian these days. Hey, Dieter, are you busy? Noah greeted the curly-haired administrator sitting on the chair. During the communication over the past few days, Noah also learned the administrator's name. Oh, Lee, you're here. Dieter heard someone calling him from behind. He put down the book in his hand, looked back, and found it was Noah. You know, the work in the library is very leisurely and there is nothing to do. Dieter raised the book in his hand. It was not a magic book, but some secular reading material. Lee, what type of magic book are you looking for this time? Dieter asked. Noah came here every time before to borrow books. To be honest, Dieter was quite envious of people with such talent as Noah, because Noah read books very quickly. Dieter saw Noah return the book so quickly before, and he thought that he had not finished reading it, but after asking the question, Dieter believed that Noah had the talent of photographic memory. Dite, I need your help. Help me find some tracking magic. Noah informed the other party of his requirement for tracking magic, and then told him that it was used to track an evil person. Well, okay, but you have to wait for a while, I have to look for it carefully, maybe you can come back in the afternoon. Dieter agreed after thinking for a while. After all, Kamartaj is quite strict about this kind of magic, but he believes in Noah's character, so he agreed to Noah's request. Okay, thank you, Dieter. Just let me know if you have any questions in the future. After Dieter agreed to help, Noah returned home and planned to pick it up from Kamartaj in the afternoon, which would be the morning in America. He thought Dieter was a good guy. Noah still remembered that he was beheaded by Cassilis at the beginning of Doctor Strange. He had to save him at that time. Then Wong would not be able to become a librarian. But Noah thought that might be a good thing for Wong. After all, after the Cassilis incident, the work of the library became much stricter, and the librarians became much busier. Let's go back and wait. Noah decided to go back to sleep first, and wait for news in the morning, whether it was from Kamartaj or the ruins search robot. Chapter 128. After 2 battles, a fire, and the rampage of the mutants, the forest was devastated. When the fire started, many firefighters came to the outskirts of the forest, but after Noah put out the fire went out. When the firefighters wanted to go into the forest to see if there were any remaining fires, a group of agents in black suits stopped them. At this time, the forest was cordoned off, and the firefighters had all left. The scene was taken over by S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. After Hulk appeared, S.H.I.E.L.D. had been paying attention to the situation in the city and its surroundings, and S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters had also sent many agents over. They noticed the situation in the forest from the beginning. First, there was a vibration coming from the edge of the forest, like some heavy animals were migrating. S.H.I.E.L.D. had informants in various parts of the city, so they reported the matter quickly. Then there was a huge noise in the forest, and they could see many things from the distant building, and the trees were constantly falling down. This situation was very wrong, and the agents had basically confirmed that something unusual had happened in the forest. As they arrived at the scene, a large blue fire inexplicably broke out in the forest, and the firefighters followed closely behind. Then, when they were still wondering whether to stop the firefighters from going over or let them put out the fire first, the fire inexplicably disappeared. This made them a little confused, but they still went over to stop the firefighters who tried to enter the forest. Then they cordoned off the scene, which was what they were most skilled at. They knew nothing about the situation in the forest, so they did not take the risk of sending the team members directly into the forest to investigate the situation. Instead, they released a drone into the forest and let the camera explore the way for them. S.H.I.E.L.D.'s equipment is very advanced. An agent took out a black drone from a briefcase and then connected it to the tablet next to him. The camera in front of the drone turned and successfully connected the image to the tablet. The agent who took out the drone nodded to the captain next to him, and then began to operate the drone into the forest. This drone is somewhat similar to the Falcon's Red Wing drone, perhaps from the same region. The drone was very agile and could move freely in the narrow woods. After the drone had been flying for a while, the agents were surprised to see the trees destroyed by the mutant creatures. The destroyed trees looked like they had been hit by some heavy vehicle. What kind of animal could have such power? The drone did not stay for long. After taking some photos of the scene, it continued along the road. Wait, what is this? An agent was looking at the screen when he noticed something striking. The operator moved the drone's camera to the place the agent said. Not far away was the area where the fire occurred. When the drone approached, the agents saw the scene after the fire, which was charred. The eye-catching thing captured by the camera was actually a sign. After the agent zoomed in, they also saw the content on the sign. There is radiation danger ahead. Please do not approach. If you do not heed the advice, you will bear the consequences at your own risk. What? Who did this? The agents were very surprised. They didn't expect to see such a strange thing. This sign was left by Noah after he returned to the scene. After all, many mutants died in this area after the war, and the gamma radiation concentration exceeded the standard. If those people were unaware of the situation and approached this area, Noah didn't know what would happen. As for whether the other party believed this, Noah felt that S.H.I.E.L.D. should be more cautious. Several agents looked at each other and decided to investigate the situation first. As the drone went deeper, they also saw things that they had not seen before because of the dark and far distance. On the forest ground burned by flames, green buds rose from the ground. This strange sight surprised the agents. They felt that the level of this mission should be raised. This was an event involving mysterious forces. Okay, send another drone over, equipped with a detector. After the drone collected photos of the scene, the agents prepared to send another drone into the forest. They wanted to see the authenticity of the instructions on the sign, so they equipped the new drone with a radiation detection device, which they had been using these days in the ruins caused by Hulk. Beep, beep, beep. As the drone approached, the indicators on the detector were about to explode. The agent frowned. Fortunately, they did not risk going to investigate the situation, otherwise they would have to be severely quarantined now. However, the two drones could not be retrieved for the time being. After learning about the situation, S.H.I.E.L.D. blocked the entire forest to prevent anyone from entering this dangerous area. During the blockade, they also discovered another battlefield. Although there was no fire there were traces of large amounts of green liquid on the ground, and the radiation level had reached an explosive level. They also reported the incident to their superiors, and the information was passed to Nick Fury, who took it seriously. Two unidentified forces fought in the forest, leaving two battlefields full of radiation. Nick Fury directly sent several senior agents to Mexico to investigate the incident. At the forest blockade site in XX City, Mexico, in a corner that no one noticed, an agent quietly sent all this information out. At the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, a bald agent picked up his phone and checked the information on it. A moment later, the other party came to the door of a S.H.I.E.L.D. executive's office, and the office door plate read Alexander Pierce. Alexander Pierce, the former director of S.H.I.E.L.D., later gave up his position to Nick Fury, and retreated behind the scenes to become a cadre of the World Security Council. But in fact, the other party was indeed a member of the Hydra organization, and a senior figure in it. Nick Fury could never have imagined that the person who promoted him was actually a Hydra. Cow cow. Please come in. Alexander Pierce was in the office at this time. Although it was already night, he had not yet left work and was dealing with some important matters. When he saw the person coming in, he raised his eyebrows. He was a little surprised that the other party would come to him at this time. Agent Sitwell, is there anything you want to talk to me about? Alexander Pierce pressed a button under the table and activated the shielding function in the office. Agent Sitwell came to see him so late at night, so he must have something to tell him that cannot be known to others. Mr. Pierce, our people have discovered something. Sidwell handed the phone to Pierce. After Pierce took it, he checked the information inside and then raised his eyebrows. Have you found any results from the investigation into General Ross? Our people found out that Ross was indeed working with a mysterious man. I guess this incident is related to that person. Sidwell said. They at Hydra have been secretly paying attention to Hulk's affairs for a long time, but because Nick Fury is keeping a close eye on the matter, it is difficult for them to take action. However, Hydra has been paying attention to this matter, and also to Ross. Recently, they found that Ross's actions were a bit abnormal, and then found that he was working with a mysterious person. Today, their agents also investigated a secret operation conducted by General Ross's men, so they believe that today's incident is related to General Ross and his collaborators. Find that person, maybe we can work together. Chapter 129. Damn Hulk! Damn Wind Swordsman! In a dark underground passage, the leader covered his head and stumbled forward while holding onto the dusty wall. After being injured by Noah's long-range mental attack, the leader took cautious measures to escape, destroying his base directly, as well as all the equipment and information inside. With his enhanced brain, he had firmly memorized the experimental data in his mind. Now he just felt a splitting headache, and that mutant big head felt like countless needles were stabbing him, so he hated the Wind Swordsman who caused this situation. When he was still attached to the mutant bird, the moment he saw Hulk and Wind Swordsman, he recognized the identity of Wind Swordsman. After all, he was one of the superheroes who stood shoulder to shoulder with the famous Tony Stark, so of course he knew. But what he didn't know was that the other party actually had a mental ability similar to his, and could attack him directly through the mutant bird. Who? Who? The leader looked at the dark area ahead. This was an abandoned sewer that had been out of use for many years. Before destroying the previous base, the leader escaped through an underground passage he had found in the base. This was the passage he had discovered when he had converted the dilapidated factory into a secret base. There were some chirping sounds coming from the front of the dark tunnel, like some animals were moving and bumping into something. The leader had no fighting power at this time due to the severe pain in his head. If he ran into any wild beast, he would only become a takeaway order. However, he certainly would not make any unprepared moves. The pairs of green eyes behind him and in the darkness around him proved that he was not to be trifled with. The leader waved his hand, and a figure flashed behind him, rushing directly towards the dark area ahead. Several whimpering sounds were heard, and a few seconds later, chewing sounds and bone-breaking sounds were heard from the front. After the leader made the move, he couldn't help but cover his head. Now he had almost reached his limit in issuing such commands. If he hadn't made special adjustments when creating these creatures, he wouldn't be able to control many mutant creatures in his current situation. Find a place to rest first. I won't let you go. That Wind Sword Master. And Bruce Banner. Time came to morning, the sun was still bright, the morning sun shone through the gaps in the clouds and sprinkled on every piece of ground in the seaside manor. The fountain in the manor sprayed water columns happily, forming unrestrained water splashes. The water droplets sparkled with crystal light in the sun, like sparkling pearls. Hey! A purple figure passed over the water droplets, and the air current it created blew the light water droplets to the periphery of the fountain. This figure was the mascot of Noah's family, the death cap of the destroyer, and behind it, a figure in blue and white clothes followed closely. Don't run! Little hat! Just put it on! Gwen was making some strange decorations on the magic hat again, trying to get it to wear it, but the magic hat still refused Gwen as usual, and the scene that was played out every day in the manor began. Gwen did not give up, and walked happily, holding the small decorations in her hand, chasing after the magic hat. On the windowsill of the manor villa, Noah leaned on the windowsill with one hand and held a cup of steaming tea in the other, looking at the scene in the courtyard. Seeing this scene of laughter and joy every day made Noah feel peaceful and happy every time. There's news from the search robot, Noah. Behind Noah, a tall figure slowly walked up to him. This figure was Lysandra. Lysandra walked up to Noah, gently placed her hand on Noah's shoulder and said. When Noah turned his head, Lysandra opened her other hand and a light screen projection unfolded, allowing Noah to see the information of the search robots he sent out last night. So fast! Noah was a little surprised, but it made sense. It was impossible to search such a small area within a few hours. Let me take a look first. Noah shifted his gaze to the light screen in front of him. Although it was a projection, it felt like the real thing. The dazzling sunlight did not affect the viewing of the projection. The projection showed the search experience of all the search robots in one night. The entire screen was divided into dozens of small figures, which made people a little dizzy. Noah raised his eyebrows and looked at Lysandra. What he wanted to ask was, "Do you want me to watch all these videos?" Lysandra smiled, and then the picture on the light screen jumped, showing several key pictures captured by the search robot. In the ruins, the buildings collapsed due to fire and explosion, and the collapsed building debris piled up together. In the picture, several search robots were surrounding the ruins, and mechanical arms appeared around several search robots, and began to move the buildings out of the ruins. The small robot has extraordinary power. The scene of the small robot carrying something many times larger than its body is very shocking, just like an ant carrying something. Soon, with the joint efforts of several robots, the rubble piled on the ground was quickly emptied, revealing the covered ground. It looked like an ordinary reinforced concrete floor, no different from the surrounding ground, except for the potholes caused by the collapse of the building. But when Noah took a closer look, he found that this concrete floor was indeed different from the surrounding ground, as if it had just been laid and then quickly solidified by some method. Noah took a look at the data report of the search robot. There was a passage under the concrete, but it was covered by the concrete above. The robot's mechanical arm once again changed into a drill-like tool and started to dismantle the floor directly. Boom! Under the drilling of the drill, the ground that was different from other places began to collapse, and a circular passage leading to the ground was revealed. Wow, it really is a passage. Looks like that guy might have escaped from this place. Noah said, and then drank the hot tea in his hand. Lysandra, have the little robots begin searching underground to find the exits of these tunnels. In the picture, the small robot has entered the tunnel and found that it is an underground passage similar to a sewer. Then the small robot starts to wait for orders. Noah lets most of the small robots go down to search and find possible exits. If there is more than one exit, he can narrow the scope of the search. He only needs to list the areas where the exits are as possible hiding places for the leader. Of course, if there is only one exit, then it goes without saying. The difficulty is greatly reduced. However, this possibility is still relatively small. After all, the sewers are connected in all directions. Noah, there's some information you haven't read yet. Just as Noah was concentrating on the images sent by the little robots, Lysandra reminded Noah, and then new content appeared on the light screen. Several small robots searching outside the leader's base found a very useful clue in a certain area nearby. Noah took a look and found that it was a cigarette butt that had been smoked. The small robot then extracted DNA information from the cigarette holder. Because of Lysandra, the official database of the United States was quickly invaded by the robots, and then they began to compare the DNA information on the cigarette butts. Soon, the robots found the owner of this DNA. Myron Carr, white, belongs to the XX military region, and his rank is lieutenant colonel. The robot displayed this simplified key information, and Noah took a look and found that this military district looked somewhat familiar. Ross? Is he related to him? Chapter 130. What? You found the DNA information of Ross's men there. After hearing what Noah said, Banner widened his eyes, frowned slightly, and looked a little angry. After Noah received the information from the search robot, he ordered the search robot to start exploring the underground passages, and then he came to the island. After all, the underground passages were quite long, and even the search robot made by Noah would need some time to complete the exploration. When Noah arrived at the island, Banner was in the underground laboratory, studying ways to eliminate gamma radiation. However, this time he was not trying to eliminate the Hulk in his body, but to eliminate 2 radioactive areas in the forest caused by the previous battle. Then Noah came to the underground laboratory and told Banner his discovery. I really didn't expect it. But I'm not that surprised, haha. Banner was a little shocked at first, but after thinking about it, he felt that this matter was somewhat normal. General Ross had been chasing him for so many years, so he was not surprised that he could do these things. There are some plates around Banner, with some food crumbs on them. It can be seen that Banner eats while working in the laboratory. He can be said to be a workaholic. Maybe he hasn't experienced life in a laboratory for so many years and suddenly wants to experience more. A small blitzcrank came over, stretched out its mechanical claws, and took away the plates. The operation of the island was entirely dependent on these small blitzcrank robots, whether it was the resort above or the underground laboratory here. Banner's food, clothing, shelter and transportation in this place also depended on them. Ross has always wanted to get the Hulk's power. He wants to use this power to develop weapons. If he succeeds, the world will fall into chaos. I don't want to see this scene, so I have been hiding from him all these years. Banner straightened his messy hair, took off his glasses, turned around and looked at Noah and said, "What do we do now?" Noah walked closer, took a look at the information on the computer next to Banner, and then said, "As for Ross, we should ignore him for now. I guess Samuel Stern may just be using him to get the necessary resources. We just need to find Samuel Stern." Noah really didn't take Ross seriously. General Ross is just an ordinary person, although he holds a high position, but for Noah, you are no different from an ordinary person even if you are a general of the United States or the President of the United States. Noah feels that his current strength is no less than any other country in the world. Even if they use nuclear weapons, the most powerful means of mankind, he has many ways to counter it. So Noah doesn't care what Ross wants to do. In fact, Noah thinks Banner is not inferior to Ross as long as he accepts the Hulk in his body. However, the other party is now half of Banner's father-in-law. Even if Banner controls the power of the Hulk, Noah thinks he may not kill Ross. "I found some new clues in Samuel Stern's abandoned base." Noah transferred the data to the computer next to him, and Banner also turned his eyes over there. The screen showed the scene of the search robot finding the entrance to the underground tunnel. Then the video ended and the screen turned into a video of the underground passage. There was a red dot in the center, representing the base. Several passages extended outwards, and then branched passages extended out. The exits were marked with a small red dot. The outermost passage was still extending. It seemed that the underground passage connected many places. "This is a passage we found there. I suspect the other party escaped from this place." Noah pointed to the red dot in the center. "Then we can find where the other party may be from the exit of the passage, and then we can narrow the search range of the detector." Banner's eyes lit up, and he guessed Noah's idea. If the other party's footsteps were not so fast, Banner even felt that he could find him directly along these passages. Looking at the speed at which the lines representing the passages on the periphery of the underground passage map spread, Banner thought, "That's right. We will soon find all the exits of these passages, and then use the detector to find him. But you have to upgrade the detector as soon as possible, otherwise Samuel Stern may soon move away from this area." Noah said. "The leader is insidious and cunning. After knowing that there is danger in this area of America, it is inevitable that he will flee to another country like Banner did, and hide there. This will make it difficult to find him. Noah does not want this task to stay on the taskbar for several months. Although it is not time limited, it still makes him feel itchy. How's the radiation removal stuff going? Is it finished?" Coming to the computer, Noah looked at Banner's work results for the night. The coffee cup next to him and Banner's dark circles under his eyes showed that he had not slept all night and had been working late at night. "It's almost there." Banner became more energetic when he talked about this. "The experimental data of Samuel Stern that you showed me before are very useful to me. After Samuel Stern got the experimental data I gave him, he developed an antidote to suppress the Hulk, although it was only temporary." Banner thought of his previous experience and shook his head. "After I modify the antidote to suppress the Hulk, it can be directly transformed into a potion to eliminate the residual gamma radiation. When the time comes, we can sprinkle this potion on the contaminated ground to eliminate the pollution." Banner said as he walked to the reagent cabinet next to him and took out many reagent bottles containing potions. Noah remembered that this reagent cabinet didn't seem to be there last night, so maybe Banner had just placed it there. Banner laid out the reagents and began to mix them. "Okay, let's mix these potions and try them out first." Banner shook the purple potion in his hand in front of him. Banner took out a test tube containing green liquid and prepared to pour the liquid onto the table. "Is this your blood?" Noah asked from the side. "Yes, I plan to use my blood for experiments. If I can reduce the gamma radiation content in it, it should be effective on the pollution there," Banner said. After pouring the green blood, Banner then poured the purple liquid on top. The purple liquid quickly blended into the green blood, but the green blood did not change after a few seconds. Banner frowned slightly, a little confused. "It doesn't work? That shouldn't be the case." Banner felt that his theory and data were correct, so he took out a small gamma energy detector and began to scan the pool of blood. Drip drop. The scanner issued a warning sound and a red light shone on Banner's face, but Banner ignored it and just looked at the value displayed on it. "Oh, the potion is indeed effective. However, because the gamma radiation content in the blood is too high, the gamma radiation value reduced after the potion takes effect is not enough to cause obvious changes in the blood. However, it is enough to deal with the pollution over there. After seeing the values, Banner concluded that the gamma energy in his blood was too high. The potion did not cause any changes in his blood after it took effect. However, he had recorded these green blood values before, so he was able to find that the potion he made was indeed effective. It worked, Lee, Banner said, holding the potion. Once enough reagents are produced, the contaminated land will be able to return to normal. Banner was still somewhat excited. He hadn't experienced this kind of satisfaction brought by a successful experiment for a long time. Then let's hurry up, but it's still a bit troublesome to spread these drugs to those two places. Now there are people from S.H.I.E.L.D. there. S.H.I.E.L.D.? What should we do? Although Banner didn't know what S.H.I.E.L.D. was, he knew that things were a little troublesome. It's okay, it's still very simple for me. Chapter 131. On the two contaminated grounds, many workers in chemical protective suits were collecting samples. After collecting the samples, they left the place and returned to a temporary base that S.H.I.E.L.D. had just established in the distance. The base was surrounded by blockade lines, and many white circular tube passages and circular tents were distributed in the base. Inside the tents were experimental equipment and medical equipment of S.H.I.E.L.D. researchers. Here everyone wears chemical protective suits, and those staff members who come back from collecting samples from contaminated areas must undergo multiple disinfections before returning to the base. Several staff members wearing heavy chemical protective suits lifted the cordon and came to the outside of a container house. As soon as they reached the door, they met another group of colleagues wearing heavy chemical protective suits. They had returned from another contaminated area and were also holding samples in their hands. Minion. The first staff members nodded to each other, and then they opened the container door one by one and entered. This is the disinfection area of the base. Those who go out to collect samples must go in here when they come back. After entering, the small nozzles on the ceiling sprinkled disinfectant on them, and the staff stretched their arms so that the disinfectant could be evenly sprinkled on their chemical protective suits. After completing the first process, they came to the next room, took off their protective suits, and put them in a large box, where the chemical protective suits would be taken away for re-disinfection. After taking off their chemical protective suits, they entered a bathroom one by one and began to scrub themselves to wash off any radioactive substances that might have stained their bodies. After going through many procedures, they finally came out of those white houses and put on ordinary chemical protective suits. The samples they brought had been disinfected and sent to the laboratory. The researchers in the laboratory were all wearing chemical protective suits. They were already observing the samples they brought back. Several samples were placed on the laboratory table. Several researchers began to use instruments to scan and analyze the items brought back from the contaminated area. Brown soil, green liquid, these were the samples they brought back. In addition, there were some ashes from the fire area, some newly grown green seedlings, and even the 2 warning signs left by Noah were brought back for research. This group of researchers were urgently sent here by S.H.I.E.L.D. Some of them were even forcibly woken up by agents while they were still sleeping, and then dragged onto the plane in a daze. However, some of them came from the previous XX city. When Hulk first fought with mutants, he created a ruin there, and then S.H.I.E.L.D. took over. The research there was also pulled here, because the situation here is obviously much more serious than that in the city. After testing, they also found that the blood brought back from the contaminated area was very similar to the blood obtained from the place in XX city before. They guessed that the owner of the blood was the same creature, but they did not find out what kind of creature the owner of the blood was. However, their most important task now is to remove the pollution here. It is not the responsibility of these researchers to know where the other party's biochemical creation came from. Have you heard? Those guys who went outside to collect samples said that the place was full of green blood, and the ground was penetrated and turned green. A researcher gently elbowed the person next to him and said to him, "What kind of blood could cover an entire area? Who did it? Was it Iron Man? Tony Stark? If he did it, he would have boasted about it on the news, right? Also, you should just focus on your work and don't worry too much about this kind of thing. The higher-ups have given the order, and we must find a solution within the next few days." The people around him didn't want to pay attention to him, mainly because the task was urgent and they still hadn't figured out anything, so how could they have the time to chat with him? "Hey, don't be so hasty, it's just Drip drip. Just as the talkative researchers were about to speak, they heard a sharp and urgent alarm from outside. They looked at each other, put down their things, and prepared to leave for the shelter area. Other staff members in the laboratory also took the same measures. After coming outside, they found that the scene outside seemed different from what they imagined. They thought that there was an enemy invasion, but there was no chaotic scene outside except the alarm. What happened? A security guard wearing a black chemical protective suit and holding a gun approached and prepared to take them to the emergency shelter. Everyone, follow me quickly, we're coming over here. The security guard waved his hand, motioning them to follow him. What happened? Wearing chemical protective suits made their movements somewhat difficult, so a researcher asked the guards. Defense has detected something appearing in those two areas. The two places refer to two contaminated lands. SHIELD has placed many surveillance cameras and detection devices there to detect abnormal phenomena in the first place. And now, it seems that they have really discovered something. Hurry up, you have to go to the safe house first. The guard waved his hand and asked them to leave the scene quickly. Several researchers nodded, stopped asking questions, and followed each other's footsteps to the safe house. In the command room of the base, several people wearing chemical protective suits were gathered around a few computers, which displayed the images from the monitoring equipment they left at the contaminated area. In the contaminated area they had cordoned off, a cloud of purple smoke suddenly appeared out of nowhere. The staff sitting in front of the computer switched to the surveillance of another contaminated area and found that purple smoke also appeared there. The unknown smoke began to spread rapidly after it appeared, spreading outward and enveloping everything. Did you just send a third team to collect samples? After the purple smoke spread, several workers wearing heavy chemical protective suits were about to lift the cordon and enter the contaminated area, then they noticed the smoke rolling in front of them, and heard warnings from the command room. Team 3, evacuate immediately. There is an unknown smoke spreading ahead of you. The news from the command room shocked the team members. The fog not far away was moving quite fast. Everyone turned around and started to run in the opposite direction of the weapons. However, they could not escape the speed of the fog and were directly swallowed up by it. Group 3. Received, please reply. Received, please reply. Are you okay? The people in front of the computer looked at the screen nervously. They could no longer see Group 3. Reporting to the command room, we are fine for the time being. The chemical protective suits seemed to be able to withstand the fog. The voice of the third team came from the communicator, making them feel relieved. Just when they wanted to say something else, the purple mist stopped spreading under an unknown force, and then quickly shrank back until it shrank into a ball of mist and disappeared into the air. The command room and the third team at the scene were still a little confused, but then they found that after the fog dissipated, the environment at the scene seemed to have changed. All the green liquid on the ground and the trees disappeared, and new warning signs were put up in the places where the warning signs had been previously placed. Several members of the third group looked at each other, then slowly walked forward to check the content on the new sign. The radiation has been cleared, smiley face. Chapter 132. Done. Noah reached out and took out two small round metal balls from the portal. You still have a way. 2 smoke generators can do the job. Banner looked at the gamma radiation value in the scanner and saw that it had dropped to the lowest. His depressed spirit finally perked up a little. Noah put 2 small balls on his waist, and the small balls near the end of the belt began to flow into the belt like quicksand, and the 2 small balls disappeared in a short while. These 2 smoke generators used to release gamma radiation to eliminate smoke were temporarily designed by Noah and Lysandra, and then the nanorobots in Noah's belt were used to construct the items. For Lysandra, this kind of thing can only be a piece of cake. Of course, Dr. Banner, the radiation problem has been resolved. I think you can go and rest now. Noah looked at the other person's tired face. Banner first turned into the Hulk and fought a big battle, and then conducted research experiments all night without sleep. Now he looks like he has kidney failure. I don't know if it's because working late at night consumes too much brain energy, or because turning into the Hulk consumes physical energy. In short, if he doesn't rest, Noah feels that there may be one more sudden death on this island. Rest? But... Banner looked at the underground passage that was still spreading outward and hesitated. Banner wanted to deal with Samuel Stern as soon as possible, because he didn't want another guy coveting the Hulk in his body besides General Ross. Moreover, Samuel Stern was more difficult and dangerous than General Ross. After all, this time the other party sent a group of mutant creatures to hunt him down. If he was given more time, who knows what terrible things they would create. Don't worry too much about Samuel Stern. I dealt him a big blow last night. He won't be able to make any waves for a while. Noah said to Banner after seeing what he was thinking, pointing to the head. What? Have you seen him? Banner looked up, and then thought of something. Could it be the time you mentioned earlier when Samuel Stern used his supernatural powers to possess a bird? Yes, I taught him a lesson that time. I'm afraid he won't dare to use his spiritual abilities like this again. After hearing what Noah said, Banner felt that he didn't need to be so anxious. Noah also said that he would use magic to find Samuel Stern. Maybe when he woke up, Noah would have solved Samuel Stern's problem. So Banner went back to his room and fell asleep. He hadn't slept on a soft spring mattress for a long time, and he was so tired that he fell asleep almost as soon as he lay down. After Banner went to rest, Noah sat on a chair and opened the task panel. Task completed, get 300 essence points. What a pleasant surprise. There are 300 essence points. Noah said in surprise. Before he went to clear the radiation, Noah suddenly thought that he had not yet completed his task for today. Could clearing the radiation also become a task? But after he came up with the idea, he immediately opened the task panel to see if he could refresh the task. The result was obvious. There was indeed a task related to clearing radiation in the mission target, but it was only a C-level task. Noah was a little helpless about this, but he also accepted this task. After all, the reward was higher than that of beating up gangsters. After Noah clicked on the task settlement, he was quite surprised by the reward given by the C-level task. He originally thought that 200 essences was the limit of the C-level task, but he did not expect that this task would give 300 essences, which was really beyond his expectation. 300 points today, plus 800 points yesterday, let me see how many essences I have now. Noah switched to the backpack interface, ready to see how much he had left before the next 10 draw. 4,800 essence points, that's pretty quick. Even if I don't find the leader, I can do 10 draws again in 12 days at most. Noah thought. Even if all the tasks were for the minimum C-level rewards, it would only take 12 days to get 6,000 essence points. Moreover, the rewards for some tasks were more than 100 points. The underground passage map of the search robots on the screen has been planned. Normally, this kind of old sewer is not that long, but the sewer is more or less connected to another sewer, so the planning range of the search robot has increased a lot, resulting in a lot more passage maps now. This will lead to many more exits and the search range will also increase. Let's go to Camartage later. I wonder if Dieter has found the tracking magic. Noah thought. Last night he went to Camartage and asked Dieter, the librarian of Camartage, to help him find the magic for tracking. He still had a wisp of the leader's soul in his hand. He hoped that Dieter had found it. ZZ. The blue portal slowly opened in front of Noah. There was an ancient scent of ink coming from the other side of the portal. What puzzled Noah was that many books in the library might not be written with ink. Where did this smell come from? Perhaps it was the elegant scent of books that had been accumulated over time. Walking on the brown wooden floor, these old floors did not make any creaking sounds due to disrepair. The mages of Camartage should have maintained the floors from time to time. Noah walked through rows of neatly arranged wooden bookshelves, on which were displayed many ancient books, all of which recorded magical knowledge. Although Camartage has internet, it is not completely modernized. The main lighting method in the library is still oil lamps. It is morning on the American side, but it is night on Camartage. The kerosene lamp flickers with its faint yellow light. The oil lamp is not as bright and clear as the fluorescent lamp, but it has a unique warmth and graceful light. Under the illumination of the oil lamp, the library is filled with a quiet and mysterious atmosphere. The space of this library does not seem to match the size it displays outside. Perhaps the wizard who built this library used some kind of space magic on it. Noah walked for a while and came to where the librarian was. Dieter was already waiting for him in the librarian's exclusive position, with several thick ancient books placed beside him. Noah, you're here. Dieter noticed someone approaching, turned around, and smiled when he saw that the person was Noah. Good evening, Dieter, are these the books I want? Noah asked after greeting Dieter. Chapter 133. Dite, is this the book I want? Noah walked closer and asked while looking at the ancient books stacked on the table. Several thick ancient books were placed by Dieter next to his arms, and Noah picked up the top book. The Door of Mystery. A delicate pattern is imprinted on the cover, which is made of an ancient parchment, like a mysterious oil painting. The pattern contains complex geometric shapes and textures, forming a twisted circular vortex, corresponding to the title of the book, The Door of Mystery. This ancient book was obviously about space. When he opened it, he saw words written in ink on the light yellow paper. Noah touched the texture of the paper and felt a faint magical atmosphere. The words in the book described the relationship between space and magic, and seemed to be describing the use of portal magic. After Noah flipped through a few pages, he put the book back in its place. He didn't plan to start reading here. He was used to doing this at home, where there was a better atmosphere. After placing the book on top of a few other books, Noah used magic to wrap them up and put them all into his backpack. Dieter on the side showed a surprised expression, then looked at Noah. "Lee, your magic skills are really superb." He expressed his amazement at Noah's operation that seemed like a space spell, and then said to him, "Those books are the ones I found today. According to your request, they all contain spells for tracking people. I hope they are useful to you." Dieter said that the job of librarian was relatively easy, and there was plenty of time to help Noah find tracking magic. "Thank you today, Dieter. I owe you a favor," Noah said. He would use this favor in the future, but he didn't know when Cassilis would betray Camartage. He would find out about this matter himself when he had time. "You're welcome, Lee, it's just a small matter." Dieter smiled. "Then I'll be leaving first." Noah waved his hand and opened a portal. He had originally wanted to visit Ancient One, but considering that it was already night, he decided not to disturb her and would wait for another chance during the day. Under Dieter's gaze, the blue portal slowly shrank and closed. Noah did not return to the island, but went directly back home. Coming to the sofa, Noah took out a few books from his backpack and placed them on the table. A wisp of dust appeared in the shock, and then was swept into a small dust ball by a force and flew out of the window. Blitzcrank slid over slowly, and two pulleys appeared on the soles of his feet, allowing his huge body to move more easily in the living room. Blitzcrank came to Noah with a teapot in his hand, and poured it into the cup on his table. The sound of the tea hitting the cup was like the sound of a stream, and the fragrance of tea began to spread. As the tea flowed out of the spout, the tea in the cup spread to the brim of the cup. "Oh, thank you, Blitz." Noah smiled. During the time when he was learning magic, Noah would take the magic books he borrowed from the library back home to read. At that time, he would always drink a cup of hot tea with his reading. This habit was also developed by him at that time. Blitzcrank blinked, and a smiley face appeared on the display on his chest. "Now let's take a look at these books to see if there is anything I need." Noah picked up the first book he saw, called The Door of Mystery. Wow! Noah began to flip through the ancient book and check its contents. The language used in this book was Chinese, which Noah was very familiar with. The author was a great wizard in ancient times and one of the supreme wizards of Camartage. Portal. This book is about the magic of portal. Noah came to the conclusion after reading a few pages. The book says that the magic that this supreme sorcerer is best at is portal magic. He uses portals to perfection, to the extent that he can open portals without using his hands. This makes Noah think of the future king, who must have read this book. Ancient books record the supreme sorcerer's experience in using the portal, as well as some of his experiences. He can use the portal to reach any place in the world, and even use the portal to reach various dimensions. According to records, he once used the portal to reach a world full of fire. Fire? Is it hell? Or Muspelheim? When Noah saw this, he thought of a place full of flames. The first thing Noah thought of was hell, and Muspelheim, one of the 9 realms of northern Europe, where the fire giant Surtur was. However, the following fragments gave Noah the answer. The book recorded that after the supreme sorcerer arrived at the world full of flames, a red demon appeared in front of him. He was one of the supreme sorcerer's enemies, Mephisto, the lord of hell. There is no record of what happened after the supreme sorcerer and Mephisto met. Noah estimated that it would not end peacefully, and he must have suffered a lot. Mephisto in hell must be very powerful. All previous supreme sorcerers have been responsible for resisting the invasion of the earth by dimensional masters like Mephisto. This supreme sorcerer opened a portal and ran to hell, Mephisto's home turf, so the opponent would definitely not show mercy. That's right, he opened them randomly. The supreme mage also wrote in the records that he liked to open portals randomly and then explore everywhere. Flipping through the pages, Noah saw some interesting things. It was said that when the Supreme Sorcerer opened a portal on one occasion, he came to a strange yet familiar world. That world was roughly the same as his original world, but some things were different from what he remembered. For example, after he went to Kamar-Taj in that world, he found that there was also a Supreme Sorcerer in Kamar-Taj there, so he communicated with him and learned that this was another universe. This incident still left a deep impression on him. After all, this was his first time to reach a parallel universe, but he wrote later that he was scolded by the Supreme Sorcerer of that world, saying that traveling through parallel worlds at random might cause confusion in time and space. This incident reminded Noah of Spider-Man 3, No Return, in which there was a scene where Ned opened a portal to connect to other universes, and the world at that time was in a state of time and space chaos. The reason was that Peter wanted Doctor Strange to use time and space magic to solve the problem of his identity being exposed. Maybe I can use the portal, and then do what Ned did, saying the leader's name while drawing circles. Noah thought of the scene in the movie. Forget it, let's read some other books first. Noah decided to finish reading these books first and then decide on that method to look for the leader. He was actually worried that he would open a portal to other worlds. Although there was no Doctor Strange now and no one was misusing time and space magic, the world was a little different because of the appearance of such things, such as the void. No one knew what would happen. Don't call out the leaders of other universes, such as the leader of all things in the comic world, because Noah couldn't stand it now. Wow! After thinking it through, Noah continued to read the book. The IQ in it was quite useful to him and could enhance his understanding of the portal spell. Chapter 134. In the hall, many portals appeared, and blue light circles were emitting crackling sparks. Wow, why are there so many apertures? At the door of the villa, a tall figure appeared. It was Gwen, who had just chased the magic hat out. Today, Gwen wore a black hooded sweater, a black pleated skirt and grey tights. It was autumn, and Gwen's outfit was also suitable for this season. When she was at home, Gwen usually didn't wear her original Lolita-style skirt. Although it was Gwen's favorite dress, knitted for her by Isolde, it didn't fit the style of the modern world, so Gwen chose to keep it in her own closet. No picture. The object Gwen had just chased, the magic hat of the destroyer, was now slowly flying beside Gwen, and there was an exquisite black bow on its brim. The combination of black and purple gave the hat a noble atmosphere. The bow was not embroidered directly on it, but tied to the hat with a ribbon. This was a bow Gwen had carefully made, and she knew that the hat was afraid of being pricked by the embroidery needle, so she changed a way to make the hat accept her small ornament. Gwen came in and saw Noah sitting on the sofa, holding a thick book in one hand and moving his other hand in the air. The ancient book in one hand was automatically flipping through the pages under the influence of a force. Many portals appeared around Noah, up and down, left and right, which scared Gwen, who had just stepped into the hall. Hey? Gwen, are you here? Noah noticed Gwen coming in, stopped what he was doing and put down the book. The teacup in front of Noah was still steaming. It was not because he had not drunk it, but because Blitz had already added tea many times. Noah had already read nearly 2/3 of this ancient book called The Door of Mysteries. He was just reading a book with one hand while practicing the portal. This book has greatly improved his skills and greatly deepened his understanding of the magic of portal. He feels that after finishing the book and understanding its contents thoroughly, he will be able to open the portal without using his hands in the near future. Noah, what are you doing? Why are you drawing so many circles? Gwen asked curiously and walked to Noah's side. Mau Mau, who was standing next to Noah, also came to Noah and shook the bow on her body, as if asking Noah if her accessory looked good. Noah rubbed the magic hat, feeling its silky body, and then praised it, making the vain magic hat twist happily in the air. Gwen, these are portals that will get you anywhere you want to be, Noah said, and then he suddenly remembered something. Gwen, haven't you read the magic book I gave you at all? When Noah was learning magic before, he had considered letting Lysandra and Gwen around him learn some magic as well. After he learned it, he gave the books he brought back from Kamar-Taj to Lysandra, asking her to teach Gwen after learning. Lysandra is a mechanical life form with supercomputing power, and her learning ability is extraordinary. When Noah was learning magic, Lysandra was actually watching from the side, so she quickly learned most of the magic. After both of them learned, it was naturally Gwen's turn. Noah gave all the books to Gwen, hoping that she could learn it. As a result, Noah now found that she didn't even know what a portal looked like. Hee, those books are too thick, I haven't finished reading them yet. Gwen said guiltily, like a child who was caught doing something bad. Noah shook his head helplessly. He knew that Gwen had become a stay-at-home girl since she came into this world. Besides making clothes, she also liked playing games and surfing the internet. It was difficult for Gwen, an internet-addicted girl, to read such a thick book. Gwen, these magics are very useful things. There are many benefits after learning them. For example, this portal magic. Once you learn it, you can go anywhere in the world. For example, if you see a beautiful place on the internet, you can directly open a portal and go to that place to see it with your own eyes. Noah said, and opened another portal between the portals. However, there was no picture on the other side of this portal, only a blue light. Gwen, is there anywhere you want to go now? Noah asked. Oh. I thought of it. I want to go to China to take a look. I have seen a lot of videos about tourist attractions in China on the internet before, and I want to go and see them. Gwen said excitedly. I didn't expect that you, Gwen, would want to go here. That place is my hometown. If you want to go there in the future, I can take you there often. As Noah spoke, the blue portal began to change. Let's go in and take a look. But it's night over there now. I've picked a good place for you. Noah said, standing up and asking Gwen to go with him to the other side of the portal. Ahoy! The two of them stepped through the portal together, crossed the distance of a hemisphere, and arrived in China. After crossing the portal, the two stepped onto a patch of grass. This was a grassland with no traces of human construction anywhere. Where is this? Gwen asked curiously, looking around. The air here made her feel a little cold. Tibet is a high-altitude area with a large temperature difference between day and night, and it is relatively cold at night. This is China's Tibet. Look above your head. Noah pointed upwards, and then Gwen also looked up following Noah's instructions. Wow! So beautiful! What appeared in the eyes of the two was a night sky covered by thousands of stars. The clearly visible stars painted a sea of stars on a black canvas. In the middle of the sea of stars, a Milky Way crossed the sky. This kind of scene is a kind of beauty that is impossible to see in a big city full of pollution. After living in a big city full of impetuousness and busyness for a long time, seeing this kind of beauty will definitely purify your soul. It's so beautiful. I've only seen it on the computer before. Gwen was very excited. Noah smiled, waved his hand, and a stream of magic surged out, pushing away the small insects and other creatures on the surrounding grass, and then he lay down on the soft grass. Gwen, who was beside him, saw this and lay down next to Noah. This starry sky made people feel very peaceful. Noah looked at the Milky Way and thought of many things. He was imagining the scene after he obtained the Dark Star, the Star Realm and the strongest hero, the Dragon King. He wondered what the scenery would be like. Noah was looking forward to it. Looking at the beautiful night sky, Noah felt that his magic power seemed to have increased a little, which made him a little strange. What was this? Was it an improvement in his state of mind and then an epiphany? Gwen was just smiling and appreciating the beautiful scenery. She decided that when she returned, she would read the books Noah gave her carefully and learn magic well, at least learn the magic of the portal. The stars are constantly flowing as the earth rotates. The world tree composed of the multiverse timeline in the ending of Loki 2. Chapter 135. What happened? I actually fell asleep. A ray of sunlight shone through the clouds and shone on Noah's face, warm and soft. Noah's eyelids moved, feeling the warmth, and his body unconsciously stretched out. Then he opened his eyes and found that the sun had risen from the horizon. It was already the next morning. Noah stretched lazily and saw Gwen's cute face sleeping next to him. After blinking, Noah turned his gaze to the side because he noticed something. When he woke up, the surrounding environment seemed to have changed a lot. The small circle of grass centered on him and Gwen did not change. Apart from that, the grass within a kilometer radius grew many times taller overnight. The original height of 30 or 40 centimeters has now risen to several meters. Noah flew into the sky and turned around, and found that other areas except this range were not affected, and then flew back to his original place. What happened? Noah was a little confused. He fell asleep here in a daze yesterday, and then when he woke up, the surrounding area had undergone abnormal changes. However, this change made Noah feel familiar, as if he had seen this scene somewhere. Then Noah opened his palm, and a green rune appeared in his hand. Is it you who is causing trouble, Resolute Rune? After Noah summoned the rune, he noticed a different feeling from usual. He found that his connection with the rune of resolve had become closer. He felt that he was only one step away from completely controlling the rune of resolve. I didn't expect that last night's quiet stargazing would put me into a state similar to enlightenment, which deepened my relationship with the rune of resolve. This was really strange. In the past, Noah would never have thought of enlightenment. I didn't expect that this sudden impulse of bringing Gwen to China to see its beautiful scenery would actually bring me such a benefit. Feeling his body become stronger after a night, Noah squeezed his palms, and the beautifully shaped muscles contained powerful strength. This night, after Noah deepened his fusion with the rune also greatly enhanced his strength, and the changes around him were because the overly powerful energy of the determination rune escaped a little bit. Moreover, Noah discovered that, as if under his subconscious, Gwen lying next to him also received some of the energy of the determination rune, and her physical strength was greatly enhanced. Noah squatted down and pinched Gwen's chubby little face, and now she became a meaty Gwen. What are you doing? Gwen pushed away the hand that had been playing tricks on her face, and rubbed her hazy eyes. Hey, where is this? Gwen, who had just woken up, was still a little confused, with a few weeds mixed in her blue hair. Then she thought about what happened last night. Noah, why did we fall asleep here? Gwen also stretched. Even the loose cotton coat could not prevent Gwen's eye-catching upper body from showing off her graceful curves, which made Noah blink slightly. There was a small accident yesterday, but it's a good thing. Gwen, feel your body. Can you feel any changes in yourself? Noah moved his eyes upwards and looked at Gwen's face. Change? Hey. Gwen raised her arm upon hearing that. The sleeves of her cotton coat slipped down, revealing Gwen's fair wrist. Gwen first looked at the back of her hand, then turned it over to look at the palm of her hand. After thinking for a while, she clenched her fist and swung it towards the ground. Boom! The cute little white fist contained enormous power. The ground cracked slightly under this punch. Gwen raised her fist and patted the dirt on it. Her originally snow-white skin turned slightly red under the force. Wow, my strength seems to have increased. Gwen shouted excitedly. Noah, did you do this? Noah looked at the other person's excited expression, looked at the green rune spinning in his hand, and said, that's about right. That's why we fell asleep here last night. Noah talked about the reason why the two of them fell asleep here yesterday. Of course, this kind of sleep was not mandatory. If any threat approached the two of them during this period, Noah's perception would wake him up. It was just that it was very safe here yesterday. Even some small insects living in the grass were driven out of this area by Noah, that is, the area where the grass did not grow taller. Yet. That's great. In the future, Gwen can work with Noah and sister Lysandra to better protect this world. Gwen said. Noah often talked about some topics about the future of the world during the chat, and Gwen remembered them in her heart, but Noah said that those crises only needed him to solve them, and she didn't need to participate in these battles. Gwen knew that it was because her strength was relatively weak, and Noah might be worried that she would be in danger. After all, the crises Noah mentioned were caused by bullies who destroyed half of the universe, demons who controlled dimensions, and enemies the size of planets. Although Gwen didn't know what these enemies were, she knew they were very powerful as soon as she heard them. However, Gwen also wanted to help Noah. After all, Noah and Lysandra were Gwen's only family in this world. Now that her power has been improved, Gwen is happy. After all, with the power, she may be able to help Noah and Lysandra. Gwen knows that these two are very strong. Noah, can we sleep here more often in the future? Hehe. Gwen suddenly said embarrassedly. Noah raised his eyebrows. Why was this statement so ambiguous? However, Noah also knew what Gwen was thinking from what she had just said. Noah flipped his hand and took the rune of determination into his body, then said. Gwen, when you are at home in the future, I will teach you a way to absorb magic power so that you can continue to improve your strength at home. Noah said. Since learning the magic of Camartage, Noah has learned a lot of useful knowledge. He then integrated this knowledge and improved his own training method derived from Yasuo, which greatly improved the efficiency of absorbing magic power. Noah decided to teach this training method to Gwen after he returned. Before, he saw that Gwen was developing into a stay-at-home girl, and he thought that this was a good idea. Gwen seemed to like this kind of life very much, so he decided not to disturb her lifestyle. However, since Gwen wanted to find a way to increase her strength, Noah certainly would not refuse. After returning, he also planned to make a set of project armor for Gwen. After all, before her magic training reached a certain level, the increase that the armor could provide was still very powerful. Noah also had another plan. He had almost completely mastered the rune of determination and could do many things. After returning, he would modify the environment of the manor and transform it into a holy place for training with abundant magical power, so that they could improve their strength even when sleeping and breathing at home. Yet, Gwen nodded, then looked at the surrounding environment. Only then did she realize that the grass had grown so tall. Noah was ready to go back, but he had one more thing to do before he went back. He opened his palms, and in the grass around him that had grown abnormally tall due to the vitality of the resolute rune, green life energy emerged from the dense grass. The source of this life energy was the insects that had also absorbed the life energy of the resolute rune, and their bodies had grown rapidly. The bodies of the insects that had been sucked dry turned grey and then dissipated in the grass. Okay. Noah looked at the life energy that gathered into a ball in his hand. He didn't want these things to run outside. Not only would it destroy the ecological balance, it might also hurt people. With a gentle squeeze, the green ball of energy merged into Noah's body, and then he opened the portal and called Gwen back home. As for the 2 or 3 meter high pile of grass, Noah didn't plan to care about it. Anyway, these things would not hurt people. Noah had tested it and found no mutated carnivorous plants. This piece of grass should allow science approaches to shoot a few more episodes. Noah remembered that there seemed to be something like the SHIE Bureau here. Although he didn't know much about it, he remembered that there seemed to be information about the SHIE Bureau in the information collected by Lysandra before. Noah decided to take a look at those things if he had time in the future. Let the SHIE Bureau guess what happened here. Chapter 136. Phew, it's finally out. It was midnight, the half-moon was hanging high in the sky, but the light was covered by the dense clouds. Without the moonlight and the dazzling neon lights of the city, the outdoor environment seemed unusually dark. The leader was in a desolate wilderness, far away from the densely populated city, but there were also several villages around, so it was not a deserted place. The leader was now thinking of leaving the human settlement and finding a place to recuperate. After a day and a night of running, the leader has now left New Mexico and arrived in Texas. Although the leader is in a very bad state now, with a severe headache, he can't move for a long time, but fortunately he kept a few tricks when he escaped, and fled with many mutants with him. When he was traveling underground, he also relied on some larger mutants to carry him on his back, so that he could cross a state in one day and one night. When on the mutant creature's back, the leader had a splitting headache and had no idea how long he had been moving underground. The pain made him lose his sense of time, but his headache eased a little after a long time, giving him time to check which area he had arrived at. The order he gave to the mutant creature under him was to keep running forward. So under some signs in the underground passage, the leader knew his area and he had come to Texas. After learning this news, the leader estimated that he was close to the previous base and could move to the ground. After all, it was more convenient to run on the ground, and the winding underground passage would affect the speed of escape. The leader changed his escape route and came to the surface from the underground passage. The dim moonlight today was just right for traveling and would not attract much attention. However, what he did not expect was that just after he came to the surface and had not walked for long, the mutant creature he sent to explore the way ahead sent a message that a team of unidentified armed personnel were searching the area ahead. This information almost made the leader think that it was the people of the Wind Swordsman and Banner who discovered him, but according to the information sent back by the mutant creature, the team of armed personnel did not look like the people of the Wind Swordsman. Then, he became a little interested in these people. He wanted to know what their purpose was here. After all, he was not afraid of these guys. Only the existence of the Hulk and the Wind Swordsman would make him afraid. After all, the mutant creatures hiding in the night behind him were not vegetarians. Following the guidance of the mutants, the leader came to the area where the armed men were, hiding in the shadows and observing the group of guys. After being exposed to Hulk's blood and mutated, not only his brain evolved, but other organs in his head were also affected and slightly changed. Although not as big as the changes in his brain, he was still able to hear the conversation of the armed men from a distance. Didn't they say the target appeared in our area? Where is he? How come we haven't found him after searching for so long? Was the information a false alarm? This group of fully armed guys didn't know that there was a pair of eyes watching them in the dark. They were vigilantly observing their surroundings, waiting for their target to appear. Each of them was wearing night vision goggles for night combat, holding rifles and wearing bulletproof vests, just like a professional special forces unit. Carry out the mission conscientiously, the information should be correct. This is the information conveyed by our scout not long ago. He saw the mission target appear with his own eyes. However, after sending this message, the scout lost contact. We have to be careful here. The target is very dangerous. A man who looked like a captain said. He held a rifle and was very alert. These people are actually from Hydra. Just yesterday, Pierce received a report from Agent Sitwell and learned what happened in Mexico. The existence of someone who can create an army of monsters? They, Hydra, really need such talents. So Pierce mobilized the Hydra members hidden in various agencies, hoping to get useful information. S.H.I.E.L.D. was not the only agency invaded by Hydra. Many important agencies in the United States had Hydra members, but most of the Hydra members were on the S.H.I.E.L.D. side. So with the information of Hydra members in various regions, Pierce quickly got what he wanted. Information about General Ross, an old acquaintance of Pierce, appeared in front of Pierce. The information showed that General Ross had recently been cooperating with a guy called the Leader. The Hydra members hiding under General Ross also intercepted General Ross's conversation with the other party and learned all the information they communicated. The guy who claimed to be the leader was indeed the one who created the army of monsters. After Pierce learned that the other party seemed to have offended a powerful enemy and started to escape, he ordered all Hydra members to begin searching for the whereabouts of the leader. Of course, the search was mainly carried out in the New Mexico area and surrounding areas. Of course, the place was so large that Pierce didn't think they could find the other party in a short time. He asked the Hydra members hiding under Ross to closely monitor Ross. When the other party contacted Ross again in the future, he would know the other party's location and then pull him into Hydra. However, what he didn't expect was that their luck seemed to be good. A search team just happened to find the location where the leader escaped. The leader, who was standing nearby, overheard the conversation between the two Hydra members and suddenly recalled something. After he came up from the underground passage, he seemed to have killed a passerby who accidentally saw him. When the leader found the other party, the passerby was using his mobile phone to contact someone. At that time, the leader was very surprised that there was a passerby in this place. However, since the other party had seen him, he could only blame his bad luck. With one order, the mutant tore the passerby into pieces, and then used its mutant stomach to destroy the body, leaving no trace of blood. Now that he thought about it, that guy couldn't be the investigator they were talking about. The leader frowned slightly. If that was true, then besides the Wind Swordsman, there was actually another force tracking him? The leader made a decision, and under his mental command, several poisonous needles shot out from behind him and directly pierced the Hydra members. In less than a second, almost all of the fully armed Hydra members fell down, leaving only one guy holding a gun and pointing around in panic. This guy was none other than the Hydra member who was suspected to be the captain. The leader walked out from the darkness, and the other party also noticed the movement where the leader was. He was about to shoot at that place, but suddenly he felt dizzy, and then his hands holding the gun loosened, and they swung down weakly, and the rifle fell to the ground. The leader came out, covering his head. He had just used his mental power to control the other party. However, it can be found that a poison needle was also inserted into the exposed skin of the controlled Hydra member. The leader let the mutant creature that shot the poison needle control the amount of venom. Although it would not directly make the Hydra unconscious, it also reduced the opponent's willpower, so that the leader could control the opponent even if his mental ability was damaged. Now, the leader wants to see who wants to arrest him. After the other party is controlled, he will tell the truth about whatever the leader asks. Chapter 137. Which organization are you from? What is your purpose here? In the forest, trees intertwined, moonlight shone through the gaps, and stars were scattered. From time to time, long and distant chirping could be heard, and pairs of dark green eyes were dormant behind the jungle. The leader was questioning the guy in front of him who was under his control. The other party's brain was invaded by his psychic power, and he would be as obedient as if he had drunk truth serum, and tell everything truthfully. I am a member of the 9. Hydra. The controlled Hydra member's eyes became empty and his body stiff, like an unconscious puppet. Hydra? What is this? The leader did not understand what the other party was talking about in this organization. The Hydra organization first appeared in Captain America 1. It was a research institute established by Red Skull and belonged to the NAC Empire. Of course, Hydra is actually an organization that has existed since ancient times. In ancient times, an inhuman named Hive appeared on Earth. His powerful strength earned him a group of admirers. Hive was later exiled to a planet far away from Earth by other Inhumans. In order to save their god, the admirers established a secret society, which was the original Hydra. Plot of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 3. So, the Hydra on the Red Skull's side should be considered a branch of Hydra in general, but most of the Hydra on the American side now belong to the branch of the Hydra left by the Red Skull. During World War II, not long after the establishment of Hydra, the Red Skull obtained the cosmic cube left on Earth by Asgard from Norway. Hydra scientists studied the power of the cosmic cube and created powerful energy weapons. After obtaining this powerful power, the Red Skull's ambition soared, and he directly broke away from the NAC Empire and wanted to dominate the world himself, but was stopped by Captain America, Peggy, Tony's father Howard and others. At that time, Hydra seemed to have been eliminated on the surface, but after World War II, the newly established S.H.I.E.L.D. recruited a large number of German scientists, and Hydra scientist Zora was one of them. After that, Hydra had slowly infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. Hydra operated in secret during World War II. After being eliminated, the United States did not make Hydra's information public. Therefore, the specific content of Hydra was only known to some senior government officials, military personnel, and those who directly fought against Hydra or were affected by it at the time. Now, after hearing the name Hydra, the leader did not know what it meant. He thought it was the name of a terrorist organization or a cult, but then he thought that it was unlikely that such an organization would have such a level of armed strength and could appear in the United States. The leader thought as he looked at the other party's equipment. What is Hydra? The leader asked again. 9. Hydra is a great organization. We will control this world and bring justice and balance. The Hydra member said hesitantly. Okay, stop talking about your weird ideas. What is the strength of your organization? The leader was a little impatient. Is this really a cult? We have infiltrated various organizations and institutions in the United States, including the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Defense, and the Department of Finance. The names of organizations and departments came out of the controlled Hydra members' mouths one by one. The head of each of these organizations and departments knew the names. However, this was what surprised him. He did not expect that this organization called Hydra had something special that could actually infiltrate various important departments of the American government. Our team is a Hydra member within the S.H.I.E.L.D. organization. S.H.I.E.L.D. is our Hydra's biggest infiltration target. S.H.I.E.L.D. It was another organization he didn't know much about, but taking this opportunity, the leader planned to learn about all the secret organizations in America and pave the way for his future. So under the questioning of the leader, the Hydra member told S.H.I.E.L.D. and all the information he knew. This Hydra member was not a high-level agent in S.H.I.E.L.D. and did not know many of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s top secret information, but from the information he said, the leader could tell that S.H.I.E.L.D.'s strength should not be underestimated. During the interrogation, the leader also learned how the other party found his whereabouts, and also knew the reason why the Hydra organization was looking for him, that they were interested in his technology of creating mutant creatures. After getting all the information, the leader began to think and released his mental control over the Hydra member. Not long after, the controlled Hydra member gradually woke up. After finding himself lying on the ground, he regained consciousness instantly and quickly stood up from the ground, picking up the weapons on the ground in the process. The Hydra member looked around vigilantly and found that all his teammates were lying on the ground. After being alert for a while, he slowly came to the side of a teammate to check on him. After checking, he found a stinger on the exposed skin on the neck of the teammate on the ground. He reached out to check the other's breathing and found that he was still alive. However, out of vigilance, he did not touch this teammate for the time being, but checked the other people lying on the ground, and then found that they all had stingers on their necks. Shit, what is this? After discovering this, the only Hydra member standing touched his neck, and after a careful inspection, it seemed that there was no stinger. He tightened the tactical gloves on his hands and came to a teammate, ready to pull out the stinger for inspection. What happened? Surprisingly, after he pulled out the stinger, the unconscious team member woke up, in a somewhat confused state. He struggled to get up, and found that his limbs were somewhat weak, and turned to look at his teammates standing in front of him. Hey! After discovering this, the Hydra member who was still observing the stinger immediately pulled out the stingers from the necks of those teammates. Humph! After the stinger was pulled out, all the Hydra members who fell to the ground slowly woke up. After resting for a while, their limbs gradually regained strength. Then they began to question the Hydra who had been controlled before, that is, their captain. Click! Just as the captain was explaining to them that he didn't know what was going on, the sound of leaves being trampled was heard and footsteps appeared beside them. The people who were still communicating quickly raised their weapons and aimed at the place where the footsteps appeared. Who? The leader did not panic when he saw several red spots appearing on his body. He walked calmly in front of them. Haven't you been looking for me? The leader stopped 10 meters away from them, with his hands behind his back, and said calmly. Chapter 138. Haven't you been looking for me? The leader said calmly with his hands behind his back. In the moonlit forest, the Hydra members couldn't see clearly who was in front of them. They could only see that the other person's head seemed abnormally swollen. Was he wearing a helmet? The leader slowly approached, then looked down at the red dot on his body. Also, I don't like people pointing guns at me. As soon as the voice fell, several figures passed by in the shadows behind them at such a fast speed that the Hydra members could not see them clearly. They could only hear a few sounds of breaking through the air. However, they did not have time to think about what those things were now, because a sharp claw appeared on the neck of each of them. Several Hydra members broke out in cold sweat on their foreheads. The fishy breath they heard in their ears made them shudder. The sharp touch of the claws against their necks made them dare not move at all. Several people tacitly lowered the muzzles of their guns. Well, very good. The leader said with satisfaction, and then clapped his hands. The mutants lying behind the Hydra members retracted their claws, jumped into the bushes, and hid in the darkness again. Several Hydra members felt the fatal threat on their necks leave, and their tense nerves finally relaxed, and they breathed a sigh of relief. The leader looked at the frightened people and said, "Take me to see your boss." After they felt the terrifying figure behind them leave, they just breathed a sigh of relief, and then they heard what the leader said. Several Hydra members looked at each other, although they did not see each other's eyes because of the night vision goggles, but their actions were enough to express their meaning. Turning to look at the suspected target, the other person had an unusually large head, which indeed matched the information they had obtained from Ross. So they agreed to the leader's request and brought him to their boss, which was actually their original mission. Wow! After the other party agreed, the leader made a move, and then there was a huge movement in the dense leaves above their heads. This movement was like a group of animals migrating above their heads, making the Hydra members who had just been frightened excitedly raise their guns to point at the place where the movement came from above their heads. The experience just now made them a little. I have PTSD. The leader showed a satisfied expression, and then asked them to lead the way. After getting all the information that the controlled Hydra knew, the leader fell into thinking. After those people woke up, the leader also made a decision. He decided to make good use of this help that came to his door, use the power of the Hydra to accumulate strength, and then take revenge on the Wind Swordsman. Judging from the opponent's current performance, the power he possesses is not so easy to deal with. The leader saw it when he attached his mental power to the mutant bird. The Wind Swordsman not only has powerful technological strength, but also has mental abilities that are similar to his. No, it is stronger than his, so he must use the power of Hydra to achieve the goal of revenge and gaining the power of the Hulk as quickly as possible. Hydra needed his technology, and he also needed Hydra's resources to conduct research and experiments. To him, Hydra was a more valuable partner than Ross. The most valuable thing to him from General Ross was the research data of the super soldier experiment plan, which he had already obtained during the cooperation, so Ross was no longer useful to him. To the leader, an organization like Hydra was very much to his liking, and he also had an idea in his mind that after joining Hydra and making good use of his psychic powers, he might have a chance to control this powerful organization. The captain of the Hydra team took out his communicator and reported their situation, the appearance of the target, the other party's requirements, and the mutants they had not even seen. After receiving the exact instructions, he led the team members and the leader to the designated gathering place, along with the mutants with green eyes in the bushes. Of course, Noah had no idea what happened after the leader escaped. At this time, Noah and Gwen had just returned from the portal. They slept in China for a night, but when they returned to the manor, it was still night in America due to the time difference. However, for the two who had already slept, they didn't need to sleep tonight. Gwen planned to go back to her room, find the books on magic knowledge that Noah had given her before, and study magic hard. However, what she wanted to learn most now was the portal magic that Noah had just used. With this magic, she could travel to any place in the world at any time and anywhere. Noah, I'm going back to read first, see you tomorrow. Watching Gwen walking back to the room with a cheerful step, Noah nodded with satisfaction, feeling that his child had finally grown up and started to love learning. Coming back to his senses, he had a lot of things to do. First of all, he hadn't finished reading the ancient books he brought back from Kamartaj. He had only read one ancient book about portal magic, and he hadn't finished it yet. Then there was the matter of transforming the manor's environment. This was an idea he had just come up with in Tibet, to upgrade the manor into a holy place for cultivation full of rich magic. The itinerary for the second half of the night has been planned, but Noah still has one thing to do. He opened the portal to the island base and planned to see how Banner was doing. Banner had been persuaded to go to sleep before, so he should have woken up by now. Sure enough, after Noah stepped out of the portal, he saw Banner busy in the laboratory. His portal led directly to the laboratory, so he could see Banner as soon as he stepped out of the portal. Banner, who was working hard, also heard the sound of the portal opening and turned to look over. Good evening, Dr. Banner. Good evening, Lee. Banner responded with a smile after seeing Noah. With the help of technology, the laboratory always maintains bright lights and a comfortable temperature. Noah walked to Banner's side and observed the work he was doing. It was the upgrade of the gamma energy detector he expected. Dr. Banner, how is the work on the gamma detector going? Noah asked. It's okay. Because we were pressed for time before, we didn't do everything very finely, so there are many places that can be modified. After this modification, the search range of the detector will be larger and more precise. Banner was quite excited when talking about the experiment, and his tone was very high. If you, Lee, and I can join in the research, the progress of the work will be greatly accelerated. Dr. Banner, I can't spare time here for the moment. It happens that I have some important things to do. But after I finish those things, I will have time to study with you. Noah said. He came here to see Banner's work progress, and he would have to go back to read books and modify the environment later. Okay, but you have to hurry up. Maybe next time you come here, I'll have already finished all these things. Banner smiled and then went back to work. Okay, see you next time. Chapter 139. Boom. At the Seaside Manor in Manhattan, a thunderous rumble sounded, and then a dazzling light emanated from the manor. The Seaside Manor was far away from the city, without neon lights, and the surrounding environment was dark, but under this light, the surrounding environment was like daytime. The light shone brighter and brighter, and it was about to evolve into a pillar of light that shot straight into the sky. If something like that happened, then this place would definitely draw the attention of the outside world. Noah would certainly not let that happen. The manor was bathed in light. Noah reached out and grasped the rune that was suspended in the air and released terrifying energy. The dazzling light was generated because the rune of determination released huge energy in an instant. After Noah touched the rune of determination, the energy that was spreading outward quickly flowed back under Noah's wool, just like time was flowing backwards. The light gathered back and gathered into the rune like a vortex. The light appeared and disappeared in a split second. If anyone saw this, they would think they were dazzled. Gwen in the manor was not aware of the light, but Lysandra knew what happened. Noah discussed it with her when he came back. It's too hasty. We can't do this. After recovering the energy, Noah scratched his head and said. After he came back, he wanted to complete the transformation of the manor environment first, so he summoned the rune of resoluteness and prepared to carry out this action immediately. At this time, the compatibility of the rune of resoluteness with him has almost reached the highest point, and the power it can drive is also different from before. When Noah first got the rune, because Noah's power was still relatively weak at that time, it was not enough to control the complete world rune, so the system helped Noah suppress the power of the rune. This suppression force from the system will gradually decrease as Noah's control over the rune increases, until the rune is completely integrated with Noah, and then the rune of resoluteness will show its heyday. Now, Noah's control over the runes, if expressed in numerical values, has almost reached 95%. He is only one step away from fully controlling the runes. However, at his current level, he can already display most of the power of the runes. After Noah summoned the rune, he actually thought that after the control of the rune was improved, the resolute rune would show more powerful power, so he would carefully control the output of energy this time. However, it was obvious that Noah underestimated the power of the resolute rune at its peak. Although Noah tried his best to control the magic power released by the resolute rune, the huge energy released by this green rune in an instant still exceeded his expectations. The powerful force exploded outwards in almost an instant. If it was not controlled, the noise it made would affect New York and the surrounding cities. Fortunately, Noah had an extraordinary reaction speed. After realizing that something was wrong, he immediately grasped the rune and recovered the energy into the rune of determination. Simply releasing energy does not seem to be able to turn this place into a holy place for cultivation. Noah feels that he is indeed a little anxious this time. It seems that this is another problem that cannot be solved in a short time. Noah thought, and he felt that he had to go to Kamar-Taj to think of a solution. Continuously releasing magic power would not create a strong magic environment, because the magic power would be diluted and then spread. What Noah needed to do was to create a measure to block the loss of magic power, just like a dam in a reservoir. Noah thought that Kamar-Taj should have a way to build this dam. Kamar-Taj has a powerful barrier technology that can use the 3 temples on Earth to create a barrier to protect the entire Earth. Noah wants to learn from this technology and then create a barrier that can gather magic power, so that Noah can complete his idea of creating a holy place for cultivation. I should finish reading those books first, and then ask about it next time I go to Kamar-Taj. Noah thought as he looked at the rune of determination that was stimulating vigorous magical power. However, Noah did not rush to take the rune back into his body, but let it float beside him, slowly releasing the magic power. After the accident just now, Noah already knew how powerful the rune was. He was just unfamiliar with it before, but now he can fully control the amount of magic released. Although the slowly released magic power cannot always gather here to create a strong magical environment, these magic powers can slowly change the surrounding environment and transform the Earth's environment into Ionia in Rune Continent, where the entire land is filled with magic power. After suspending the rune beside him, Noah returned to the place where he had been reading before. Blitzcrank, who did not need to rest, filled the teacup in front of Noah again and picked up the Gate of Mystery that he had not finished reading. Noah continued to read this ancient book, but this time he planned to speed up the reading, first find what he needed and then slowly read the content that interested him. On this quiet night, the living room was filled with soft lights. The living room would automatically adjust the brightness to the right level, a feature Noah had added after buying the manor. Ancient books were stacked on the table, and the titles on the covers, which were bordered with gold, reflected the light. The night was very quiet, except for the sound of Noah turning pages. Gwen's murmurs could be heard from the rooftop. It seemed that Noah was not the only one studying hard that night. A few hours later, Noah closed the last ancient book. With his efforts, he finally finished reading these ancient books that were almost half a meter thick. Gwen on the rooftop had been snoring 2 hours ago. Noah could only say that the road to becoming a top student was long and arduous. Although he said that he would speed up his reading and not experiment with things he was interested in like he did in the morning when he read The Mystery Door, he still couldn't control himself in the middle, so he dragged it out for a while. But it doesn't matter. The books that Dieter found are indeed useful. After reading these ancient books, Noah has gained a lot of knowledge about space, which can enhance his space magic. The tracking magic that Noah needs is also found in these ancient books. He is going to test whether these things are useful. Okay, let's try it now. Noah formed seals with his hands, and many mysterious magic runes appeared in his hands. The magic runes condensed in the air, and Noah took out the wisp of Shuuma, soul energy, obtained from the ruins of the headquarters base and integrated it into the magic spell. After adding Shuuma, the magic runes quickly condensed in the air and finally turned into a blue magic compass. An arrow in the compass pointed to a certain direction. Pictures found online. Success. Chapter 140. The blue magic compass was suspended in Noah's hand, and the arrow on the compass pointed to a certain direction, which was probably where the leader was. This magic spell pointed to the owner of the Shuuma based on the Shuuma provided by Noah. Did it succeed? Noah looked at the compass floating in his hand. The appearance of this compass was not the original one of the magic spell, but one he constructed himself. Holding the compass in front of him, Noah looked at the instructions above the compass, walked out of the door, and used magic to float into the sky. Southwest, he probably isn't too far from his original place. Noah looked at the direction of the pointer and found that the leader should still be in the area around New Mexico. The problem can be solved now, but I want to go see what the situation is like over at Banner's end. If they could clearly point out the location of the leader, they would definitely be able to find him as long as they took the time. However, Noah still decided to go to Banner to see how his detector worked. If they could first use the detector to determine which exit of the underground passage the leader escaped from, the difficulty of finding him would be much lower. After recording the direction of the pointer, Noah shrunk the disc in his hand, turning it into a magic bracelet composed of flowing magic runes and wrapped around his wrist. After doing all this, Noah waved his hand to open a portal under him, then flew directly down and entered the portal. In the underground laboratory on the island, Banner, who had finished his work, was sitting at the laboratory table, enjoying a cup of hot coffee. Just as Banner was enjoying his long-awaited break, a portal appeared in the space in front of him. Unlike the past, this portal did not appear vertically, but appeared horizontally in the air. After the portal opened, Noah's figure landed. "You can actually fly." Banner was not surprised at first when he saw Noah appear in an unusual way again, because in his impression, Noah was the only one who used the portal to travel. He just sighed that the other party had so many tricks, but then he noticed that Noah was floating in the air and did not seem to be using any device for suspension. "Hey? Don't you know I can fly?" Noah crossed his arms in front of his chest, with a blue rune bracelet wrapped around his hand, and floated in front of Banner. "Of course I don't know. Is this common sense? Besides, you could only fly after putting on the armor before." Banner raised his hand to express his confusion. He only now realized that Noah could fly directly without the armor. "It's amazing. You can fly in the air without the help of any technology, just like Superman. Can you wizards fly?" Banner stretched out his fists and gestured Superman's classic flying posture. Noah knew that there were actually various DC comics in this movie universe, and Superman was also a very popular comic IP. Not really, only some special wizards can fly. Noah thought. There are very few wizards who can fly in the movie. Probably only Scarlet Witch Wanda and some other powerful witches can fly. Doctor Strange can fly only with the help of his magic cloak. As for Ancient One, although it was not shown in the movie, Noah felt that Ancient One should have the ability to fly. As for the Superman that Banner mentioned, Noah thought about it. After the power of the Resolve rune became stronger, the speed at which his body strengthened became faster and faster. Even if he didn't draw a hero with a strong body in the future, with the blessing of the rune, he should have the capital to cause Superman. "Let's not talk about anything else, Dr. Banner, how's the detector?" Noah shook his head, bringing his thoughts back on track, and slowly descended from the sky and came in front of Banner. Speaking of the detector, a smile appeared on Banner's face. He put down the coffee in his hand, went to the computer and pressed a few keys. "I have improved the function of the previous gamma energy detector. This detector can now achieve a larger range and more precise detection. I think it should be able to help us find Samuel Stern," Banner said as he looked at the device in front of him, which was very different in shape from the previous one. He upgraded the previous device so that he could find Samuel Stern's location faster and more accurately. "Is it finished?" "That's great, I've made some progress as well." Noah showed the magic halo on his right wrist, then he moved his left hand upwards. The magic runes on the halo flowed and turned into a magic compass in Noah's hand. "What is this?" Banner looked at the magic compass in confusion. He didn't understand magic, but he thought the compass was pretty good looking. "This compass can point directly to where Samuel Stern is. This is the magic I just completed." Noah suspended the magic compass in the air, allowing Banner to see the arrow on the compass. "Is there such a miraculous magic?" Banner was surprised. Looking at the compass in front of him with magic runes constantly flowing, he unconsciously reached out and touched the edge of the compass floating in front of him. He could feel the cold touch from his fingertips. This compass was actually a physical object. "If we have this thing, can we find Samuel Stern directly without using a detector?" "Yes, it is possible, but it will take a long time. It will be more convenient to find people if there is a detector to assist." After hearing Noah's explanation, Banner nodded. This was a good idea. His efforts during this period were not wasted. After Noah finished speaking, he suddenly remembered something, and then pressed his belt. A projection device appeared and projected a photo. Banner looked at the photo with a serious expression. The photo showed a man with green skin and a swollen head. The clothes looked familiar, but the face also looked familiar to Banner. "This is Samuel Stern." After looking at it for a while, Banner finally recognized the owner of the face. It was his friend Samuel, Mr. Blue Stern. The face in the photo did look similar to the Hulk, but only his head and skin seemed to have mutated. And Banner finally realized why the other person's clothes looked familiar. Wasn't this the same outfit Noah was wearing? Where did you get the other person's photo, and why is he wearing your clothes? Banner pointed out his doubts. Just look at it directly. Noah smiled, and a cloud of smoke appeared on his body in front of Banner. After the smoke went up, the handsome young man disappeared and turned into a big-headed monster with green skin, who looked exactly like Samuel Stern. WTF? Banner was startled and stepped back, with one hand directly on the laboratory table. Then he realized that this must be Noah's magical magic again, and he regained his composure. Banner looked at Noah's transformed appearance and understood why the clothes in the previous photo were Noah's. Noah shook his big green head, and he was not used to the heavy feeling on his head. When Noah did not use the Shoma of the head to make magic, he suddenly thought that he could use Nico's power to use this wisp of Shoma to transform into the head. After all, he didn't know what the other party looked like, and the movie didn't show the other party's mutated appearance. Then Noah became like this and took a photo. When he became the leader, he could also feel the other party's abilities. It seemed that his IQ had increased and he possessed psychic powers resulting from the mutation. Pang! The smoke reappeared and Noah returned to normal. Dr. Banner, there's no time to lose. We can start now. Don't let this guy get away. Noah decided that he must get rid of the troublesome leader today, as the task had been hanging around for long enough. Chapter 141. Success, we found it. Banner shouted happily. The latest version of the scanner has detected the traces left by the leader's escape. Although some time has passed, the residual gamma energy will gradually dissipate. However, perhaps because the leader's escape route is in an underground pipeline, the dissipation rate of the gamma energy has slowed down a lot. Even after more than a day, their traces can still be detected. Moreover, Banner also detected another thing. There was more than one gamma energy source in the underground passage. The leader might be followed by those mutant creatures. He hoped that the leader would not let them act separately and interfere with their vision. However, Banner's concerns were indeed correct. After following the residual traces of gamma scanned by the detector and finding the exit where the leader left the underground passage, the red lines on the scanner representing gamma energy began to disperse after moving forward for a distance. Lee, look at this. Banner told Noah, who was standing aside, about this. It seems that this guy is quite vigilant. Noah touched his chin and said, but this is inevitable. The other party's big head determines that the other party is not a simple-minded guy. The detection method they used is also used by the other party. The leader will definitely guard against this method. But it doesn't matter. He can't imagine that we still have this thing. Noah showed the magic spell on his wrist. This tracking magic is the key to finding the leader. Indeed, it's magical. Let us give Dr. Stern a surprise. Banner grinned. The other party would never have thought that there is such a thing as magic in the world. After determining the specific location, Noah planned to go there directly, and then follow the guidance of the compass to quickly find the leader and eliminate him, completing the task hanging on the task bar. Noah reorganized his equipment and then put on the project armor directly. Everything was ready. Banner, what do you mean, do you want to come with me to find him? Noah asked Banner beside him, while asking Lysandra to display the location on the gamma detector on his visor so that he could find the specific teleportation location. Well, I won't follow him now. After all, I can't fly, and following him will only waste your time. But when you find him, I hope you can take me there. I want to ask Samuel Stern in person why he did this. Banner said after thinking for a while. Okay. Noah nodded, turned around and opened a portal. The armor floated up and flew into the portal. Banner watched Noah enter the portal. As the portal closed, Banner took out the phone Noah had given him and called his girlfriend Betty. He hadn't contacted Betty much in the past 2 days, and she must be worried. In a dark and humid place, a blue circle of light unfolded in the air more than 1 meter above the ground, and then a black figure floated out. What a good choice of place, Chief. After the aperture was closed, the place fell into darkness again. However, this was nothing to Noah. Not to mention that he had good eyesight and could see through the darkness. His high-tech visor was also very powerful and showed Noah the surrounding environment very clearly. This is an abandoned sewer ditch, which should have been used to discharge sewage a long time ago. Now this place still emits a foul odor. Fortunately, Noah's armor can isolate the smell, otherwise he would have suffered. Noah turned around and saw a sewer pipe opening behind him. The leader should have come out from this pipe opening. The gamma energy detection system has been installed, Noah. Now you can directly see the residual gamma energy. Lyssandra's voice came from Noah's ear. After Banner's instrument was modified, Noah asked Lysandra to add this function to his armor. Lysandra was very efficient and quickly added the device researched by Banner directly to the armor. However, this was also because the technology of the detector was ready-made and Lysandra only needed to make slight improvements. Thank you, Lysandra. I heard Lysandra's chuckle. Noah looked at the red mark on the visor display system. This was the leader's escape route. All he had to do next was follow this red track. Flying higher, Noah left the small ditch. There was no one around, it seemed to be an uninhabited area. Noah scanned the area, but he found something wrong. There is actually a corpse here. After the scan, a red mark appeared in front of Noah's eyes. With Noah's eyesight, he could clearly see what the red mark was, a human-shaped object lying on the ground. It's quite a tragic death. Noah came to the body. It looked like a civilian, just wearing ordinary clothes, and his cell phone fell to the side. Lysandra, look at who this guy is. Noah said, picked up the phone on the ground, unlocked it, and checked what the other person was doing in the last moments of his life. Target found. The target has appeared, prepare to report to headquarters. Noah found the last 2 messages the other person sent on his phone. One of the messages seemed to have not been sent yet, and the guy was killed. Target? It seems that this guy is not an ordinary person. After seeing this information, Noah also realized that the guy in front of him did not seem to be an ordinary person. Noah, we have found the information about this body. Lysandra's voice rang out, and then the other party's information appeared in Noah's sight. Really? Let me see. Eric, an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.? When did S.H.I.E.L.D. get involved? Noah looked at the information and thought that the other party was actually from S.H.I.E.L.D. Let's find the leader first, and then we'll see if it's S.H.I.E.L.D. or Hydra. Noah thought, and flew directly towards the red track representing the leader's escape route. In the middle, it was discovered that the leader had made 2 false routes in order to confuse the vision. However, after Noah took out the magic compass, the problem was solved. The compass pointed directly to one of the red tracks, and this route was the correct direction. Wind. The figure flying at high speed in the woods brought up a gust of wind, shaking the treetops and startling the birds wherever it passed. After a while, Noah saw several figures not far away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and those things around, should be correct. Under the skin of the visor, all life forms were marked out one by one. In addition to the leader, there were several gunmen beside him, and the leader's mutant creatures were also hidden in the shadows around him. Okay, you can call Banner over now. Buzz. The portal opens. Chapter 142. Lee? Have you found Samuel Stern? Banner walked out of the portal, looking a little confused. He was holding a phone in his hand, as if he was just talking to his girlfriend. Yes, it's just in front. Noah was already standing on the ground. They were on a high hillside. Looking into the distance, they could see several black dots representing the leaders and S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Of course, Banner couldn't see them. He could only see darkness. After bringing Banner over, Noah reached out and shot out a small device, which hung on Banner's wrist. What is this? Banner reached out and touched it. It felt cold metal, and the device stuck to his skin like a bracelet. This is an energy shield device. If you don't want to transform later, just watch from the side. This thing can protect your safety. Noah said, and then prepared to use magic to pick up Banner and fly towards the leader. Oh, thank you, then Before Banner finished speaking, he felt himself starting to fly into the air, and then the environment beneath him quickly retreated, but Banner did not feel the pressure brought by the high-speed movement. In a few seconds, the two arrived in front of the leader and several S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. The S.H.I.E.L.D. agents who were on their way were also startled by the sudden appearance of Noah and Banner. They were just heading to a flat area to meet up with the contact personnel, but they heard several explosion-like sounds in the air, and then the swift swordsman and a man floating beside him slowly fell in front of them. The leader's face was also very ugly. The thing he least wanted to encounter still happened. The wind swordsman and Banner still found him. Now he had to consider how to escape. After being surprised, the armed Hydra agents immediately went into alert mode, pointing their guns at the two people in front of them. Stop! Don't go any further. We are the FBI and we are carrying out an important mission. Please leave immediately. The leader of the Hydra shouted vigilantly, his voice stern. After he saw the figure of the person coming in front of him, he felt a little uneasy. The swift swordsman. Even in their organization, he was considered a dangerous guy. Several Hydra agents could only complain in their hearts, wondering why their luck was so bad today. First they were threatened by the target of the mission and felt the feeling of dancing on the brink of life and death. Now an even more dangerous guy, the Wind Swordsman, came. Their small bodies could not block the opponent's lasers. Now they could only hope that the other party would give some face to the FBI they brought out. But of course Noah doesn't care about the FBI or CBI. These guys from S.H.I.E.L.D. really like to bring up the name of the FBI. Noah himself has an FBI certificate given by Coulson. But it's not certain whether these people in front of him are from S.H.I.E.L.D. Maybe they are a nest of Hydra. After dealing with the leader, he will ask Nick Fury if he is involved in this matter. Noah did not stop because of the other party's warning, but walked towards them without saying a word. Banner, who was standing by, looked at Noah's back and decided to follow him. The thing on his wrist could still give him some sense of security. Seeing that their warnings had no effect, several people looked at each other, and they were unsure of what to do. However, one of them couldn't hold his temper and was ready to warn the guy on the opposite side who didn't take them seriously. Hey! When he was about to pull the trigger, the gun in his hand was controlled by a powerful force, and then it flew out of his hand and hit the surrounding boulders. The rifles in the hands of several agents around him were also not spared. Under the huge force, several rifles were directly smashed into pieces and scattered all over the ground. Boom! Noah just pointed his finger at a few people, and the confused agents were knocked to the ground by a huge force. They were face down, struggling with their limbs, but they couldn't move at all. They could only twist their heads to keep breathing. The leader looked a little unhappy, and Noah and Banner walked to a distance of about 10 meters in front of the leader. Dr. Stern! Why are you doing this? You should know how dangerous and unstable the Hulk's power is. Banner questioned the leader angrily. Before Noah told him the truth, Samuel Stern was still the friend who had helped him a lot. He would never have thought that the other party was using Hulk's blood to conduct those horrific experiments. The scene of the pit full of corpses was still vivid in his mind. From then on, Banner decided to find Samuel Stern and stop his evil behavior. Dr. Banner, you are too pedantic and cowardly. You have such powerful power, but you don't know how to use it. You just want to escape. The leader raised his hand, his tone a little high. Hulk's power contains countless possibilities. We can use this power to research hundreds of antidotes to free humans from diseases. All terminal illnesses will be cured, and humans can be purified and gain powerful bodies. But I only saw you madly killing those innocent people and creating those terrible biological monsters. Stop making excuses for your desires. Banner interrupted the leader's passionate speech. Haha, these are just necessary sacrifices. I think they will understand. Banner was about to get angry, but Noah raised his hand to stop him. Okay, Dr. Banner, there's no need to waste time talking to him. He's just stalling for your time. During the conversation between the two, Noah could sense that some spiritual energy was emanating from the leader and spreading around, and the mutant creatures hiding in the forest also began to quietly approach this side, as if the leader had passed on some instructions to them. After Noah's voice fell, the mutant creatures that had been lurking in the shadows for a long time attacked Noah and his companions after receiving the order from their leader. These mutant creatures had hideous faces, bared fangs and claws, and green liquid flowed from their mouths. Of course Banner was unable to react and was still turning his head to look at the place where the sound came from. As for Noah, his figure seemed to disappear for a moment, and when he reappeared, a white sword suddenly appeared in his hand, and he bent down to wipe the sword. The mutants remained in the air in their attacking postures, their expressions frozen, as if time had stopped flowing at that moment. The next second, cracks appeared on the faces of all the mutants. At the same time, the force that cut off the mutants' bodies was released from the trees and boulders behind them. The sword energy raged like a hurricane, destroying all obstructing objects and carving gullies on the ground. Looking at this horrifying scene, the leader was horrified and took a few steps back involuntarily. Banner was also frightened by the sudden sound. Then he saw this scene that was like a natural disaster. He swallowed and thought that Hulk should not be able to do this. Noah wiped his sword and then looked at the leader. No, wait, I have more. The leader realized that the other party was about to take action, and nervously wanted to say something, but before he could finish his words, a thick sword energy directly submerged him. After the sword energy, only a ball of air was left where the leader had originally stood. The Hydra members who were pinned to the ground around the leader were now sweating profusely, their faces covered with sand. Although they could not see what was happening, they could hear the huge noise. Now they just hoped that Noah would not affect them. What? Lee? What's wrong with you? Banner was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Noah would kill the leader directly. Dr. Banner, this guy has done so many evil things. If we don't get rid of him this time and he runs away, it will be difficult to catch him next time. Think about those people he killed, you don't want more innocent people to be hurt in the future, do you? Noah put the mocha back into his backpack, saw Banner's expression, and knew what he wanted to say. This. You are right, we can't let him go on. Banner said after hesitating for a while, thinking back to what Samuel Stern had done. In fact, in Banner's heart, the other party was enough to be sentenced to death, but a former friend suddenly died in front of him, which made him a little unable to react. Mission completed. Noah looked at the prompt that popped up on the system panel and was in a good mood. The task that had been pending for a long time was finally completed. Okay, it's your turn next. Noah looked at the guys lying on the ground. Chapter 143. It's your turn next. After easily dealing with the leader, Noah did not rush to collect the mission reward, but looked at the shield people lying on the ground. After Noah scanned the appearance of these people, Lysandra also gave their information. The 4 people lying on the ground were indeed agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., 3 level 4 agents and 1 level 5 agent. The agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are all graded, with a total of 10 levels, from 1 to 10. The rank of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents has nothing to do with their official titles. The main evaluation criteria for the rank are the comprehensive ability of the agent and the importance of S.H.I.E.L.D. Black Widow and Hawkeye are level 7, Coulson is level 8, and the only one who is currently level 10 is Nick Fury. The ones in front of him are just low-level agents. In S.H.I.E.L.D., only agents above level 7 can know some top-level secrets. Oh, by the way, the agent disguised as a passerby was level 3, the lowest among this group of people. We are all from S.H.I.E.L.D., I wonder what Nick Fury wants to do. Noah planned to go directly and ask Nick Fury what he thought. After all, Noah had just killed someone else's mission target, and now he was pinning someone else's agent to the ground. It seemed that he really didn't give face to others. However, Noah really didn't care about S.H.I.E.L.D.'s face. Not to mention that the leader was his mission target, and if S.H.I.E.L.D. got the leader's technology, it might do something weird again, just like studying the cosmic cube. However, it is not certain whether these people are purebred S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Maybe they are just a few little snakes. Thinking of this, Noah snapped his fingers, and several agents who were struggling slightly on the ground turned white in their eyes and fainted. After simply dealing with these agents, Noah raised his hand and clicked on a projection screen, dialing Nick Fury's number. However, he actually hacked into Nick Fury's phone. Soon, Nick Fury's dark face appeared on the screen. It seemed that after not seeing him for a while, Nick Fury's face became darker. I don't know if it was due to the sun or because he was angry because Noah hacked into his phone again. Noah, what's the matter? And can't you contact me in a normal way? Nick Fury said. These guys with high technology are all worrying, including Iron Man and Noah, especially Noah, who likes to hack into other people's phones. Because of this habit, Nick Fury specially asked the technicians of S.H.I.E.L.D. to strengthen the network security defense of the Bureau to prevent the secret information of S.H.I.E.L.D. from being stolen by Noah. Of course, what Nick Fury didn't know was that the information of S.H.I.E.L.D. had long been copied by Lysandra, and it was useless to strengthen it now. But in fact, it would be useless even after strengthening it. With the current human technology, it would take many more years of development to keep up with Lysandra's technology, unless S.H.I.E.L.D. had a super genius who was ahead of his time. Hehe, Director Nick, good evening. Noah greeted him, then turned the projection in his hand and pointed it at the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents underground. Chief Nick, are these guys your people? What? Nick Fury frowned and looked at the picture coming from his mobile phone. There were several unconscious people lying on the ground, wearing black combat uniforms, with helmets dropped to the side. However, because their heads were facing the ground, Nick Fury could not see these people's faces. Take a look. Noah sent the photos of these guys to Nick Fury, which he had cut out from the information of S.H.I.E.L.D. Coulson, help me check it out. Nick Fury looked at the photos and pondered. While thinking about the identities of these guys, he was also thinking about Noah's motives and why he suddenly contacted him because of these things. After thinking for a while, Nick Fury handed the task to another person in the office, Coulson. Hey? Coulson is here too. Good evening, Coulson. Noah then realized that Coulson was also with Nick Fury. The other party had not made any sound before. It seemed that before Noah contacted them, the two of them were probably handling some mission or something. Good evening, Noah. Coulson responded, and then began to look through the personnel information of S.H.I.E.L.D. on the computer based on the photos. So, Noah, is there something you want to talk to me about this time? After handing the work over to Coulson, Nick Fury looked at his phone again and asked Noah why he contacted him. Chief Nick, you should know what happened recently in Mexico City XX. Yes, is it related to this matter? Nick Fury thought of what happened in City XX. Their S.H.I.E.L.D. also sent people to deal with this matter. According to the information sent by the S.H.I.E.L.D. personnel at the scene before, what happened in that place was also related to Hulk. Correct. The events in XX City have something to do with you. It has nothing to do with me, but it has something to do with Dr. Banner. Dr. Banner. Nick Fury frowned, a little confused, and then saw Banner behind Noah. He also knew that Hulk had escaped from General Ross's military base before. At that time, he discussed with Tony and Noah how to deal with Banner, but he didn't expect Noah to find Bruce Banner first. Hello. Banner didn't know Nick Fury, and he didn't even know what S.H.I.E.L.D. was. I know that the incident in XX City is related to Bruce Banner, but I didn't expect you to be involved in it. Nick Fury said. Samuel Stern. What? Noah suddenly said a name, which confused Nick Fury. Samuel Stern, you should know him, right? Noah suddenly read out the leader's name just to test Nick Fury's reaction. Judging from the other party's performance, perhaps these people were not really sent by him. Of course, Noah doesn't have the skill to read micro-expressions, but Lysandra does. Lysandra can analyze every expression on Nick Fury's face and detect his thoughts. Of course, with the professional qualities of an ace agent like Nick Fury, there won't be too many expressions on his face. When Nick Fury heard the name, he was still thinking about it, but Coulson next to him gave him the answer directly. Samuel Stern is Bruce Banner's friend. On the day of the Abomination incident, he helped Bruce Banner remove the gamma rays in his body. But after the Abomination appeared, Samuel Stern disappeared. Our people searched the entire campus and the neighborhood, but found no trace of him. Coulson took out a document from the cabinet nearby and handed it to Nick Fury, then said to him. Director, I have found the information of these people. They are indeed agents within the Bureau, but we have not arranged for them to carry out any mission operations today. Nick Fury's eyes narrowed and he suddenly thought of something. These guys are here to find Samuel Stern. Since they were not sent by you, aren't they the ones you have been looking for? Noah has basically confirmed the identities of these guys, they are real Hydra. Nick Fury and Coulson in the office looked at each other and felt the solemnity in each other's eyes. Is the truth they have been pursuing for a long time finally coming to light? Chapter 144. Noah, do you know the identities of these people? Nick Fury asked. He hoped to get some useful information from Noah. After all, the other party could see some information from the future. I don't know. Do you need me to help you interrogate these guys? Noah said. Of course he knew the identities of these people, Hydra, but he should let Nick Fury figure it out himself. Even if he directly told Nick Fury that this was Hydra and that half of S.H.I.E.L.D. were Hydra, Nick Fury might never believe it. After all, it was a fantasy to him. No, thanks. If possible, leave them to me. Nick Fury rejected what Noah said and planned to interrogate these guys himself. They had professional methods. No matter how hard these guys talked, Nick Fury believed that he could make them open their mouths. Okay, do you need me to send them over? Noah asked, pointing at several Hydra members lying on the ground. No need. Well, if possible, I hope you can take them to XXX. I don't plan to interrogate these colleagues in the Bureau. Nick Fury refused at first, but after thinking about it, he asked Noah to help take these guys to the designated place. He would have someone take these moles to other places for interrogation. If these people were interrogated in the Bureau, it would definitely alert the enemy. Nick Fury didn't think that there were only these few moles in the bureau. He wanted to take these people to a secret base that only his trusted people knew about. Okay, go there as soon as possible, I'll be there soon. Noah looked at the place Nick Fury mentioned on the map, then turned off the projection and ended the call with Nick Fury. After Noah hung up, he used his magic to pull together several people on the ground. These people were still unconscious and had not woken up. Seeing Noah's actions, Banner stepped forward. So, everything is over? Banner asked in a daze. That's about right. For you, the most difficult trouble should be this guy Samuel Stern. As for General Ross, I remember that you seem to have a relationship with his daughter. If you don't take this relationship into consideration, it's actually very simple to solve. But now we can only take it slowly. Noah shrugged and said. He said that he couldn't understand the complicated relationship between Banner and the Ross family. He could only do something in the future to make General Ross step down, so that he might not be interested in hunting down Banner. However, these are things to be considered in the future. The leader has passed away. Now as long as Banner does not expose himself, his whereabouts will not be discovered by anyone. Ross's matter can be dealt with at any time and there is no rush. Hey! Is that so? Banner let out a long breath, and suddenly felt deeply moved. For him, it seemed that the life of fleeing day after day was finally coming to an end. Now with Noah's help, he didn't have to worry about General Ross's pursuit. And what Noah needed was not the power of the Hulk, but the wisdom of Banner. He could finally live a normal life. For him, this was really a happy ending after all the hardships. Noah, please send me back first. The person you are going to meet later doesn't seem to be an ordinary person, so I won't go. Banner had just overheard a few words of Noah's conversation with the person on the other end of the phone. He felt that this shield was not an ordinary organization. The experience of these years made Banner more wary of these official organizations, and he was still a little reluctant to meet with official people. Okay, then you go back first. By the way, Dr. Banner, you should take a rest for a few days. After you rest, I will start to arrange work for you. If you want to leave the island and go out, you can take a boat or a helicopter. Noah said. He did not forget the reason for recruiting Banner, which was to speed up his research progress and share his pressure. Banner nodded, and he had not forgotten the conditions for Noah to help him. As for the boat and helicopter that the other party mentioned, Banner had seen them before when he was wandering around the island, but he might not go out if there was nothing going on. Oh, if he wanted to go out on a date with Betty in the future, he would still need to use these two means of transportation. The helicopter and the boat were things Noah had prepared before, mainly for ordinary people like Banner. After all, he couldn't cast a permanent portal yet, so he could only use ordinary transportation instead. Of course, these transportation tools were built by Noah himself, using the powerful technology of Lyssandra's era. When he built these transportation tools, he also upgraded the black car in his home. When he has time in the future, Noah wants to see if he can build a transformer, but that's all for the future. Noah first opened a portal to the island for Banner. After Banner went back, he checked the meeting place mentioned by Nick Fury, and then opened the portal to this place. It was another deserted place, and Noah stepped out of the portal and checked the surrounding environment. Behind him, several figures floating in the air slowly floated out, and then Noah threw them to the ground. These agents were thick-skinned and strong, so a fall would not cause any harm. Noah looked at the time and felt that Nick Fury and the others might not arrive so soon. After all, they didn't have something as convenient as a portal. So Noah watched the latest news while waiting for Nick Fury's arrival. During the time when Noah was busy looking for the leader, there were no major events in the world. Iron Man Tony was always on the front page of the news. In addition, Noah found that after the appearance of Iron Man and the Wind Swordsman, there seemed to be more masked heroes like Daredevil, and correspondingly, there were also many more powerful criminals. The world has been slowly changing since the appearance of Iron Man, and some things hidden in the dark have begun to emerge. Well, it's none of my business. Just give me more tasks. Noah shrugged and continued to browse the news. What he read was not only news information from the United States, but also information from various countries. He could check it, whether it was overt or covert. Noah had seen that what he had done in Tibet was in the news, but the information seemed to be blocked soon. It should be that the SHIE Bureau took over. About 10 minutes later, Noah sensed something approaching in the air. It should be Nick Fury's men. Under Noah's gaze, a Quinjet slowly descended from the sky. After the hatch opened, Black Egg in a black windbreaker walked down from the Quinjet, followed by Coulson. Okay, now you are here, I'll leave these guys to you. Noah waved his hand, sent the unconscious Hydra agents to Nick Fury's feet, and then planned to leave. Wait, Noah. Nick Fury stopped Noah, who was in a hurry to run away, glanced at the guy under his feet, and then asked, "You said before that they were tracking Samuel Stern, so where is this Samuel Stern now?" Nick Fury wants to know Samuel Stern's information, and if possible, he wants to see why these people want to find Samuel Stern. "I have killed that guy." Noah spread his hands. Chapter 145. Finally finished. After returning home, Noah took off his armor and lay lazily on the sofa. These past few days were very busy for him. Although his strong body would not feel tired, he had an inexplicable feeling of tiredness in his heart. He felt that he must take a good rest for a few days and give himself a vacation. Let's take a look at the rewards for this mission. After Noah killed the leader, his mission was actually completed, but he was not in a hurry to collect the reward at that time. Instead, he planned to collect it after returning home. Opening the task panel, the system's various panels have always been very simple. The interface of the task panel has nothing else except the refreshed tasks. There are 2 tasks hanging at the top of the current task panel. These 2 are the 2 A-level tasks that cannot be completed now. A-level mission, God's Revival. A-level mission, Lord of the Void. One is a mission related to the Celestials, and the other is a large mission related to the Void. Noah is not in a hurry to complete the Celestials mission, as there is plenty of time. Even if the Celestials are born earlier than originally planned, there is still a year left for Noah. Noah plans to wait until he is fully confident before completing the mission, at least until he has the strength to fight the Celestials alone. Noah feels that this will be more stable, as the subsequent events after the completion of this mission are the highlight. As for the Void Lord's mission, the system also put it in the A-level mission list, but Noah thought that this might be because the highest mission system was only A-level, otherwise this mission would definitely be more than this level. After all, this mission was a small branch mission, and the mission level was at least B-level, not to mention that there might be more branch missions in the future. This mission was also something that Noah could not complete in a short period of time. Noah even felt that if he had not summoned the Hero Star Forging Dragon King, he might not be able to complete this mission. After casually looking at the task information of the 2 A-level tasks, Noah turned his gaze to the B-level task area below and pressed the Complete Task button behind the B-level task. The task settlement screen appeared in front of Noah. Task completed, get 1000 essence points. 1000 points? Well, that's about right. Noah remained calm after seeing the amount of essence. This was almost within his expectations. The B-level mission of the leader was not a difficult mission, but because the leader was running around, it was difficult to track him down. After Noah found him, he killed him with one blow. 1000 essence points was a medium-level reward for a B-level mission. The highest rewarding B-level mission he had ever done was the mission of Whip Ivan Vanko, when he killed a lot of robots and whip and got 2500 essence points. Another 1000 points, that should be enough. Noah opened his backpack and checked the amount of essence he had. Current essence, 5800 points. I'm only 200 points short of essence. I just need to complete 2 more C-level tasks and it will be done. Looking at the essence in the backpack, he only needs to complete 2 more simple C-level tasks to perform 10 consecutive summons again. Now it is past midnight and the number of tasks has been refreshed, but Noah is in no hurry to complete the task. Noah observed and sorted out the items in his backpack, then closed the system backpack. On the table in front of Noah were the ancient books borrowed from the Kamar-Taj library. These ancient books brought Noah a good harvest and made him improve his space magic a lot. Noah stacked the ancient books neatly and planned to find time to return them to the Kamar-Taj library tomorrow, and borrow a few more ancient books for novice mages. Gwen should need these things. After finishing some trivial matters, Noah fell into deep thought, thinking about what would happen next in the world. As he was thinking, he suddenly remembered the Hydras that Nick Fury had just taken away. He wondered what Nick Fury would do if he knew the identities of these people. Nick Fury should be able to find out the identities of those people, right? Noah thought. He wondered if Hydra agents would receive any special training. Then Nick Fury couldn't ask, but for an ace agent like Nick Fury, interrogating such stubborn people might be a common occurrence. And with Marvel's technology, there should be a lot of truth serums and the like. But Noah suddenly remembered the plot in Captain America 2. He remembered the bald-headed and bespectacled Hydra agent Sitwell. Judging from his performance in the movie, perhaps the Hydra agent's mouth is not as hard as Noah imagined. Sitwell in the play was threatened by Captain America, Black Widow, and Hawkeye, and then he revealed all the information. Perhaps not all Hydra agents have received special training and brainwashing. Noah doesn't know whether Nick Fury will discover during this interrogation that S.H.I.E.L.D. is full of Hydra. He doesn't know whether he will disband S.H.I.E.L.D. like he did in Captain America 2 after he finds out. However, Noah thinks it is unlikely. After all, in the movie he seemed to want to reorganize S.H.I.E.L.D., but was rejected by Captain America and Black Widow. Noah doesn't care whether S.H.I.E.L.D. exists or not. This time Hydra appeared in front of Noah, he has to start thinking about how to deal with the Hydra problem. According to Noah's previous speculation, his parents in this life may have lost their lives because of Hydra. Noah asked Coulson to go back and check on the 2 team members who survived the mission. I wonder how Coulson is doing. Let's go ask tomorrow. Noah rubbed his head and thought. Regarding how to deal with the Hydra organization, he has an idea in his mind, which is to find Dr. Zora, who was made into artificial intelligence. Dr. Zora was originally a Hydra scientist. After Hydra was defeated, he was invited to join S.H.I.E.L.D. after his death. He transferred his consciousness to a giant computer and is now hidden in a secret Hydra facility. Dr. Zora, who has become an artificial intelligence, has been doing things in secret. Insight Project is a conspiracy he planned. Perhaps after finding Dr. Zora, Noah can get the information of all Hydra members through Zora. Of course, this is just Noah's speculation. If it doesn't work, he can find Alexander Pierce, the leader of Hydra, who should know a lot of information. Let's talk about it tomorrow. Chapter 146. At night, the snow-capped peaks of the Himalayas towering into the clouds sparkle with silvery white light under the moonlight, like a huge silver tower pointing to the depths of the sky. Stars dot the night sky, like pearls scattered on black velvet, brilliant and mysterious. The small village in the distance appears faint and warm under the night sky, and the lights shine through the windows onto the snow, outlining a peaceful picture. Unlike the hustle and bustle during the day, the village is exceptionally quiet at night. In this small village far away from the city, there are no bright neon lights like in the city at night, only the warm lights shining from the windows of the staggered houses. Snowflakes fall in the night wind, and the lights shine through the windows onto the snow, outlining a peaceful picture. This quiet and ancient village is quietly immersed in the peaceful atmosphere of the night. In an inconspicuous location in this small village, lies Kamar-Taj, an ancient and mysterious organization on Earth. It looks like an ordinary house from the outside, but behind the door is a different world. This magical sanctuary called Kamar-Taj, with the blessing of various powerful magics, has an extremely vast interior space, which is completely different from the outside world. It can be described as a cave. In the middle of Kamar-Taj stands a temple belonging to the Supreme Sorcerer. Although it is called a temple, its appearance is not much different from other buildings. It is just taller than other buildings in Kamar-Taj, and the decoration style inside is also more simple. In this temple, the Supreme Sorcerer is sitting opposite Noah. Ancient One leans over to pour Noah a cup of strong tea, and steam rises between the two. Thank you. Noah took the cup of hot tea poured by Ancient One with both hands, brought it to his lips and took a sip. The fragrant hot tea can warm the body in cold weather, but with Noah's physique, he didn't feel cold at all. Ancient One sat on a wooden chair with a smile on his face. Noah suddenly felt that Ancient One was like a kind old lady. However, considering Ancient One's age, calling her an old lady was not too much. The temperature near the Himalayas was already very cold at this time of year, but Ancient One was still dressed as usual, wearing a simple and loose mage robe. Kamar-Taj was indeed a great body-building sect in the mage world. The mages outside were also dressed very coolly. Master Ancient One, the main reason I came here this time is to ask you, what are your thoughts on the affairs of the Celestial Group now? Noah asked. As soon as he woke up this morning, Noah took the borrowed ancient books and returned them to the Kamar-Taj library. The reason he came so early was to visit the Ancient One and ask about something. Noah told the Ancient One about the Celestials when he first came to Kamar-Taj. However, although the Ancient One had a certain understanding of the Celestials at that time, he did not know that they planned to use the Earth as a breeding ground for the birth of the new Celestials. The Ancient One could not directly see this matter from the Time Stone, because the Time Stone seemed to be ineffective against the Celestials. After so many days, Noah felt that the Ancient One should be able to find some useful information. Although the Ancient One did not know much about the Celestials, he had contact with the Eternals. What Noah wanted to know now was the news about the Eternals scattered around the world. Among the Eternals, the only ones that were easier to find were the two that Noah had seen in New York before, and the Eternal who was a star in India. The other Eternals were in seclusion and it was very difficult to find them. Guyi nodded slightly, and then a piece of white paper came out from his sleeve. Noah saw a few lines of black words on it, but he was more curious about how the other party took things out of his sleeve. Noah took the A4 paper. The font seemed to be written with a fountain pen. The handwriting was vigorous and powerful, and it really looked like the handwriting of a master like Guyi. This is the current address of those outsiders, or the Eternals you mentioned, on Earth. I helped you find them. In addition, I had a conversation with their leader, Ms. Ajak, and she was indeed as you said, resisting the birth of the Celestial Group. Noah looked at the address on the paper and nodded slightly. It would be more convenient with these things. During my conversation with Ajak, I mentioned your existence, someone who has the ability to help them resist the orders of the Celestials. When you plan to start looking for the Eternals, you can visit Ajak first. She will help you fight against the Celestials. The Ancient One really thinks highly of him. Although he doesn't have the strength now, he can do it in the future. But will Ajak believe what the Ancient One says? Ajak has lived for many years and should have a clear understanding of the strength of the Celestials. Why does he believe that there are people on Earth who can fight against the Celestials? Maybe the Ancient One showed him some scenes from the future? Noah was not clear about the conversation between the two and could only make a rough guess, but he did not plan to contact the Eternals yet. Recently, he planned to deal with the Hydra matter, and the plot of Avengers 1 was changed by him. After Loki was captured, he did not know whether the plot of Avengers 1 would be advanced, delayed, or not happen again. However, Noah had felt the strong fluctuations from the Space Stone before, and the plot of Avengers 1 might still happen, and Thanos might be ready to make a move. So Noah planned to meet the Eternals again after a while, at least after the plot of Avengers 1. Just when Noah was about to ask some more questions, Ancient One spoke before him. After learning about what the Celestials had done, I went to consult Trinity Vishanti and asked him to give me a solution to the problem, but Vishanti advised me not to interfere too much in this matter. Ancient One took a sip of tea. Noah was a little confused when he heard these words. Could it be that Vishanti was scared? Vishanti possesses supreme wisdom, and what he said must have a reason. Of course, I will not completely ignore this matter. I will take action when necessary. Noah listened to Ancient One's story quietly. What he said was telling him that he would have to rely on himself to do most things in the future. Vishanti seemed to be afraid of the Celestials, so Ancient One could not solve the problem directly. However, Noah thought it was nothing. He had planned to solve the problem himself after gaining enough power. Okay, thank you very much for this information, Master Ancient One. Noah raised the piece of information recording the address of the Eternals in his hand and said goodbye to Master Ancient One. Before going back, Noah went to the library to borrow some ancient books for Gwen. These were carefully selected by Noah. I believe Gwen will be very happy. Chapter 147. After meeting Noah and picking up the suspected SHIELD members who were suspected of being insiders, Nick Fury took the unconscious guys on the Quinjet, and then they went to Nick Fury's secret base. A cunning rabbit has 3 burrows, not to mention Nick Fury, an ace agent who has been engaged in the spy industry for many years. The place he went to this time was just one of his secret bases. After the Quinjet had been flying for nearly an hour, the pilot controlled it to land in an open area. Secret bases are usually built in such uninhabited deep mountains and forests, and this open space was specially prepared for parking flying vehicles. After the Quinjet landed smoothly, the rear door slowly lowered to form a ladder for people to walk on. Nick Fury was the first to walk out of the exit. He had a serious expression and walked with his hands behind his back. His black windbreaker whistled as he walked quickly and steadily. Behind him, Natasha, the Black Widow, who was wearing a tight black uniform, had a good figure and red hair, walked out. Natasha was the driver of this mission, but she did not come out when she met Noah before, and stayed in the driver's seat. The physical work will be left to you men, Natasha said to the people in the cabin behind her, then walked down the ladder and stood aside waiting for the people in the Quinjet. Inside the cabin, Coulson and Hawkeye each helped an unconscious man out. Although each of these unconscious agents weighed about 80 kilograms, Coulson and Hawkeye were in good physical condition, so it was not too difficult for them to support these unconscious men with their arms. Nick Fury brought his 3 most trusted agents with him in this operation. It can be seen that he attaches great importance to this operation. After all, it concerns the safety of S.H.I.E.L.D. and he cannot afford to slack off in the slightest. Coulson and Hawkeye put the 2 unconscious agents on the ground, and then went back to bring the other 2 to the ground. After this back and forth, all 4 agents were transferred to the ground. After doing this, Coulson breathed slightly and touched the sweat on his head, but Hawkeye didn't see any changes. This time, Nick Fury and his team flew for nearly an hour. In fact, these agents should have woken up long ago. After all, Noah did not cast any special magic on them. They just fell into a common coma. The reason why they are still in a coma until now is that when Nick Fury took over these 4 agents, he injected each of them with a special drug for safety reasons. As long as they are not injected with the corresponding antidote, they will remain in a coma and become vegetative. After the 2 of them finished dealing with everything, Nick Fury, who was the first to leave the Quinjet, reappeared after disappearing for a while. Behind him were several tall men in special uniforms. After nodding and greeting Natasha and the other 2, they used stretchers to carry the 4 unconscious agents on the ground to a building not far away. Coulson and his team didn't know these people, and they didn't seem to be from S.H.I.E.L.D. At least Coulson, who knew most of the members of the Bureau, had no impression of them. The people in this base were all specially trained by Nick Fury. Many of them were people who lost their parents when they were young and were brought here for training. They were almost like death squads, so Nick Fury trusted these people very much. "Let's go," Nick Fury said, and the next step was the interrogation. After Nick Fury finished speaking, he walked towards the building hidden in the mountains and forests in front of him. Coulson, Hawkeye and Natasha followed behind Nick Fury. The door of the Quinjet slowly rose and finally closed seamlessly. Inside the base, the 4 of them walked through a long corridor and came to the outside of the interrogation room in the base. The walls of the interrogation room were made of solid steel, with a dark grey metallic glow, revealing an unbreakable solidity. A heavy steel door separated the inside and outside of the interrogation room. Nick Fury went up and reached out to enter the password on the combination lock next to the metal door. Then the heavy steel door faded to both sides, revealing the inside of the interrogation room. Nick Fury led the 3 into the interrogation room. The 4 unconscious agents had been brought to this interrogation room early on. Now the 4 were fixed on 4 special chairs respectively. Every part of their bodies was firmly fixed, and only their heads could turn slightly to prevent them from resisting after waking up. This interrogation room was different from the ordinary interrogation room. There was no one-way perspective glass that could only be seen from the outside. There was only a dark grey steel wall. Next to the special chair stood a man in a white coat, who looked like a researcher in the base. Next to him were a bunch of interrogation equipment, some of which even agents like Black Widow and Hawkeye, who had experienced many missions, could not recognize. "Let's start." Nick Fury came in and said to the researcher. After receiving the order, the researcher standing next to the chair picked up a futuristic-looking syringe from the table next to him. There was an unknown green liquid swaying in the container of the syringe. The researcher held the syringe and stabbed the necks of the 4 unconscious agents one by one, injecting the green liquid into their bodies. The green liquid was the antidote to the previous coma-causing drug. "Just find one." After doing all this, the researcher in the white coat looked at Nick Fury, who nodded, and the researcher put down the syringe and left the interrogation room. Now, in addition to Nick Fury, there were only 3 people left in the interrogation room, Natasha and others. Originally, Nick Fury was going to send the 3 of them away and interrogate them alone, but after he recalled what Noah said, Nick Fury decided to keep the 3 of them and interrogate them with him. After the antidote was injected, several agents who had been in a coma for a long time finally woke up. Under the effect of the drug, they were a little confused at first, and some were blinded by the dazzling lights above their heads. But when they saw a black figure standing in front of them, they immediately broke out in a cold sweat and woke up from their confusion. The man in front of him, with a black bald head and an eye patch on his left eye, was the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury, and the people next to him were also some of the more famous senior agents in the agency. The first one to wake up was the agent who served as the team leader among the 4. He glanced at the whole room with his peripheral vision. From the various decorations in the room, it could be seen that this was a room for interrogation. He also tried to struggle to break free, but found that every part of his body was firmly fixed to the chair and he could not exert any strength at all. "Director Fury, what are you doing?" "I'm a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, Jocelyn Judd," a level 5 agent. I was previously assigned to XX City for an investigation. I don't know what happened that made you tie me up here, but there must be some misunderstanding. Chapter 148. There must be some misunderstanding here. The Hydra agent who had just awakened opened his eyes and saw Nick Fury standing in front of him. Seeing this black-boiled egg in this situation was not a good thing. The Hydra agent, knowing that something was wrong, could only explain on the surface and take the opportunity to observe the surrounding environment, but he was already thinking about how to withstand Nick Fury's interrogation. Misunderstanding? Haha. Nick Fury sneered without changing his expression. Nick Fury walked to where the researcher had just stood. The table was full of various tools. Nick Fury reached out to the table. Now every movement of Nick Fury would make several Hydra agents tied to the chairs extremely nervous. Nick Fury pushed aside the intimidating-looking objects one by one, and then picked up a small tablet the size of a palm from among the devices. This thing looked like a remote control. Nick Fury looked at the nervous agents and tapped the remote control a few times. I know you won't speak easily, but I have plenty of time to waste with you. After saying that, the eyes of the agents who were imprisoned in the chairs widened, their bodies began to tremble uncontrollably, and their faces flushed strangely. Ahem, wrong. Several agents showed painful expressions on their faces and screamed. After Nick Fury pressed the button on the white remote control, the special chair behind them released a strong electric current, which made them tremble all over and scream in pain. This electric current can bring strong pain to people, but it is not fatal. It is very suitable for torturing stubborn people during interrogation. Under the strong electric current, a disgusting smell came from the Hydra agent at the edge. After the electric current lasted for less than a minute, someone could not resist it and was directly electrocuted to the point of nervous disorder and incontinence. Hawkeye, who was standing closest to the person who emitted the unpleasant smell, silently walked back a few steps. The smell of the polluted air was really unpleasant. Nick Fury's face remained unchanged, staring at the screaming agents. After a few seconds, Nick Fury saw that he had achieved the effect he wanted, raised his hand and clicked the remote control in his hand, turning off the current, making the agents stop shaking, and by the way turned on the ventilation system of the interrogation room to dispel the unpleasant smell. After the electric shock stopped, several Hydra agents collapsed in their chairs, feeling like they were dying. Nick Fury tortured these people before interrogating them in order to weaken their willpower. If they were interrogated again later, their resistance would be much smaller. Of course, Nick Fury would not think that these guys would lose their resistance just because of an electric shock and allow them to answer questions. If that were the case, the authenticity of the information they said would be questionable. Tell me, you were in a place you shouldn't have been tonight. Who gave you the order and what was your purpose? How many accomplices do you have? Nick Fury asked a few simple questions, holding the remote control in his hand all the time with his arms folded, bringing a heavy pressure to those people. Who? None of them spoke, just panting, as if they had not recovered from the electric shock. They all heard Nick Fury's words, and although their expressions did not change much on the surface, they were already nervous. In the Hydra organization, the consequences of betrayal are very tragic, but the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. in front of them is not a pushover either, and they don't know if they can withstand the other party's next move. I understand. It seems that you won't tell me unless you suffer a little. Nick Fury didn't ask any more questions. He pressed the button, and the bottom of the special chairs were unfastened and movable pulleys were extended. Then Nick Fury asked Coulson and the other two to take these people to different interrogation rooms and interrogate them individually. Nick Fury himself was in charge of the level 5 agent in S.H.I.E.L.D. He saw that this guy was a leader among this group of people. I believe I can make you talk. Nick Fury said as he stretched out his hand and brushed across the pile of torture instruments. A trace of fear flashed in the eyes of the Hydra agent, and then Nick Fury let him experience what the King's Ace agent's methods were. Interrogations were also being carried out simultaneously in several other interrogation rooms. Hawkeye and Black Widow were both experts in this kind of work. They had experienced many similar missions before, but Coulson rarely used this method to interrogate others, so he was a little careless and used some torture instruments that should not be used, almost torturing others. Time passed slowly. Nick Fury and others had left the interrogation room and gathered together, but the expression of each of them did not look very good, and was very serious. Chief, is what they said true? Coulson asked. The result of the interrogation was a little unbelievable to him. Until he reunited with everyone and learned that their interrogation results were almost the same as his, he still couldn't believe it. Maybe what they said is true, or maybe they made up the story in advance. Nick Fury said in a very low voice. He stared at the table and fell into thought. Hydra is right next to us? And it has even infiltrated our shield? It feels like a science fiction story. Hawkeye Barton leaned against the wall, folded his arms, frowned, and was also shocked by this heavyweight information. That's right, those Hydra agents have confessed everything under their interrogation. At first, when they said they were Hydra, Nick Fury and the others thought that these guys were still fooling them and making up some false information to deceive them. But after using some extreme means, no matter how they interrogated them, the results were the same. Now they began to pay attention to this information that sounded absurd. These Hydra members are now dying. After being tortured, they still couldn't stand the pain and confessed all the information. It seems that only the level 5 agent among them has undergone some special anti-interrogation training, but as luck would have it, the interrogator was Nick Fury, so he couldn't stand it either. After all, these people are not the kind of fanatics who would bite their tongues and commit suicide after shouting "Long live Hydra!" We don't know how many of their accomplices are inside S.H.I.E.L.D. We didn't expect that we might have been working with Hydra all along. Natasha sat aside and put her legs on a platform. Her shaking calves showed her inner unrest. The atmosphere in the room was somewhat depressing. Everyone was silent, thinking about the information they had obtained after the interrogation. We will get to the bottom of it. In the quiet atmosphere, Nick Fury was the first to break the silence. It was a little hard for him to accept that the S.H.I.E.L.D., which he led, was actually invaded by Hydra, but the most important thing now was to confirm the authenticity of this information. You guys wait here for my order. I'm going to take those guys away. I'll use some special means to confirm the authenticity of the information they revealed. Nick Fury stood up. At this critical moment, Nick Fury decided to use some extraordinary means. Nick Fury boarded the Quinjet, and the Hydra members were also brought on board. This time, only Nick Fury boarded the plane, while Coulson and the other two stayed in the base waiting for orders. Navigation route is being set, target, Russia. Chapter 149. In the 20s, Captain Marvel Carol Danvers returned to Earth after a series of complicated events. At this time, she had lived on the Kree's planet for several years for some reason. After returning to Earth, she also recovered the memories that were erased by the Kree. However, Carol was not the only one who came to Earth from the universe. Some Skrulls also followed Carol to Earth. After that, Carol fought with these Skrulls several times, during which she also recovered all her memories. It was during this time that Nick Fury met Carol. After fighting with the Skrulls, Carol also discovered that these Skrulls were not villains, but belonged to the persecuted party. These Skrulls just wanted to find a new home and their missing families. Then Carol awakened her power and killed the Kree people indiscriminately. Ronan led the space fleet and shuttled over, dropping powerful missiles under the Earth, but was stopped by Carol, who awakened and became Captain Marvel. Ronan was frightened by Captain Marvel and fled. The Skrulls' planet has been destroyed by the Kree. The Skrulls who lost their homes can only rely on their own racial talents to change their forms and wander around the universe. The Skrulls who came into contact with Carol and others are only a part of the many Skrull wanderers. They are led by Talos, who is leading them to find a safe place. After learning about what the Skrulls had suffered, Carol and Nick Fury promised to find a new home for them. At this time, Nick Fury suggested that these Skrulls, who had nowhere to go, temporarily live on Earth. Then, Nick Fury had a powerful team of alien workers, whose powerful abilities and technology could help him well. The Skrulls have a special structure that makes them not afraid of radiation. When Nick Fury was choosing a place for these Skrulls to live, he specifically picked a place that was surrounded by radiation areas and that no one wanted to get close to. There are many places in Russia that meet Nick Fury's requirements, so Nick Fury settled the Skrulls near an abandoned nuclear power plant in Russia. Over the years, they have lived here in peace and stability without being disturbed by outsiders. Of course, some Skrulls are not satisfied with this kind of life. They are very dissatisfied with Nick Fury for not fulfilling his previous promise, so there was a betrayal later, but those are only things that may happen in the future. Most Skrulls have not yet thought about this. Nick Fury brought these interrogated Hydra members to the Skrull camp. Although he had just interrogated all the information of these Hydra agents, Nick Fury still didn't quite believe that Hydra had invaded S.H.I.E.L.D. He planned to use a more special method to obtain the information in the minds of these Hydra agents. When the Quinjet hovered over the Skrull camp, the Skrulls below did not panic, because every time Nick Fury came here, he always came in a Quinjet, so as soon as they saw this style of aircraft, they knew that Nick Fury, the bastard, had come. After Nick Fury landed the Quinjet on the ground, a male Skrull who had transformed into a human came up. The clothes of the Skrulls in the camp were not much different from those of people on Earth. Half of them were human and half were Skrulls. A group of green-skinned people were lying on the wire mesh, curiously looking at the black aircraft not far away. Most of them had never been out to see the world outside the camp, so they were very curious. After the hatch was lowered, Nick Fury walked out. Although this place was close to the abandoned nuclear power plant, there was not much radiation in this area, so Nick Fury did not wear any protective clothing or anything like that. To others, perhaps these Skrulls all looked similar, but after a long period of communication with these Skrulls, Nick Fury was able to distinguish who was who in Skrull form. Talos. Nick Fury greeted the Skrull who was walking over. This Skrull was the leader of this Skrull camp, Talos. After the Skrulls were arranged to live here by Nick Fury, some of them also began to work for Nick Fury. The Skrull leader Talos was one of them. Some Skrulls changed into human images and were arranged by Nick Fury to work in S.H.I.E.L.D. Talos, as the leader of the Skrulls, would come back here from time to time because of some things in the camp. This time when Nick Fury came, he just happened to meet Talos who had returned for something. After Nick Fury greeted them, he began to tell Talos the reason for his visit. Talos was also surprised. After all, many of his people worked with him in S.H.I.E.L.D. He did not expect that there was another force mixed in S.H.I.E.L.D., which seemed a bit similar to them. Nick Fury asked Talos to arrange a few Skrulls to move the Hydra members who were once again injected with coma into the camp. The Skrulls can completely transform into another person's appearance. Even the closest people cannot tell the difference. If they transform into a person and then obtain his memories, they can completely replace that person. The Skrull camp has a device for obtaining memories, the Mind Extractor. This Mind Extractor that reads memories was used by Talos to extract the memory of Captain Marvel Carol many years ago. Now, Nick Fury is going to use it to read the information in the minds of these Hydra members to determine the authenticity of what they said before. Putting the level 5 Hydra agent on the device, falling into a coma does not affect the operation of the machine, but makes it more convenient. After all, when reading the memory, the other party needs to be in a state of losing resistance. This Mind Extractor looks a little crude. This is because the Skrulls are on Earth and the materials they can get are limited, but this does not affect the function of the machine. After Talos performed some operations, the two ports of the machine at the head of the unconscious Hydra agent released electric energy. The ends of the electric current were purple. The two electric currents hit the head of the Hydra, causing it to tremble slightly. Talos came in front of the Hydra agent and put his fingers on his forehead. The part touched by his fingers also emitted purple luminous energy. After touching the forehead of the Hydra agent, Talos was able to obtain the memories in the Hydra agent's mind. Of course, if normal humans used these machines, they would fall into a state of confusion due to accepting another person's huge memory all at once, and they might be directly shocked into becoming fools. The Skrulls were able to use the Mind Extractor freely because of their racial talents and special training. After a moment, Talos released his fingers on the Hydra agent's head and looked at Nick Fury. Talos told Nick Fury all the information he got from the other party's mind, mainly the information about Hydra, and Nick Fury listened quietly. After listening to all the information, Nick Fury fell into deep thought. After a moment, Nick Fury took out his cell phone and made a call. Chapter 150. New York's Fifth Avenue is a famous commercial street in New York. Its luxury and unique atmosphere attracts tourists and shoppers from all over the world. Local New Yorkers also like to relax and have fun here. High-rise buildings rise up on both sides of the street, and the morning sun shines on the glass curtain walls, reflecting dazzling light. Dense pedestrians shuttle on the sidewalks, and people of all skin colors can be seen here. Some of them are here to travel, and some are rushing to work. I haven't been here for a long time. Not far from the exit of the underground parking lot, Noah looked at the bustling scenes on the street and felt that he had not been to this place for some time. Fifth Avenue is located in Manhattan, New York. Noah's hometown is also in this area. It is not too far from here. It only takes about 10 minutes to get there by taxi. When Noah still lived here, he often liked to come here to play with his family or friends. However, Noah has not been here since he got the system. Today, he decided to go shopping here with Lysandra and Gwen. After Noah talked with the Ancient One about the Eternals in Kamar-Taj, he did not stay for long. He took a lot of books from the library and returned to the manor. These books were brought by Noah for Gwen. There were more ancient books than the first time he learned Kamar-Taj magic. After reading these, Noah believed that Gwen could change her job to become a Kamar-Taj magician. When Noah returned home, Gwen saw the thick stack of ancient books in Noah's hand and learned that these things were for her. Her eyes immediately lost focus, as if she had turned into a grey stone statue. She stood there blankly, allowing Noah to wave his hands and pinch her face in front of her, as if she didn't notice. Then, one morning, Gwen was in a low-pressure state. Seeing this, Noah decided to take Gwen to a lively place to play and temporarily forget about those troubles. Of course, after returning, he still had to study the magic book hard. Noah and his companions had just parked their car in the underground parking lot. There was a huge flow of people in this place and the road was very crowded. Even Noah couldn't solve the traffic jam problem, unless he directly activated the flight mode, then he would be one step ahead on the road and wouldn't have to worry about being stuck in traffic. Noah and the other two changed into clothes that suited the season. Half of autumn had already passed, and the temperature was gradually dropping. Noah, Gwen, and Lysandra were all wearing the same hoodie. Except for the different colors, there was no difference. It was like couple outfits, and these clothes were all made by Gwen. Gwen held Lysandra's hand and looked at the colorful streets curiously, while Noah held Lysandra's hand on the other side. Several people began to walk towards the busy street. Because of their appearance and clothes, Noah and his group became the focus wherever they went, but they were almost used to it. There were all kinds of shops on both sides of the street, with all kinds of novel delicacies and fashionable luxury goods displayed in the glass windows. There were also many street performers and performance artists on the street, which should be considered as American specialties. Noah also saw many children holding balloons with Iron Man and Wind Swordsman devices printed on them on the street. He thought it was quite interesting. He wondered if Tony collected the copyright fees from them. Gwen was more interested in the clothes displayed in the windows of clothing stores, and often dragged the two of them outside to look at them. Noah said that if they liked them, they could buy them directly, but Gwen seemed to be only interested in the styles of the clothes and had no desire to consume. Instead, the various dolls in the doll shop attracted Gwen's attention more. After walking on this street for a while, Noah had several shopping bags in his hands. At this time, they were watching a band playing on the street in a small square. Just when they walked here, they found a melodious music coming from not far away, so they came over to watch. In addition to them, many pedestrians also stopped here because of the performance. Noah just thought the music was pretty nice, and then he didn't think much about it. After all, he didn't have much musical talent. Maybe he would be able to understand it after he draws a music-related music hero like Sana. Just as Noah was nodding and stamping his feet to the music, the phone in his pocket suddenly vibrated. It was not suitable to use a projection device in a place with a large flow of people, so Noah brought his phone with him. After seeing the phone ringing, Noah took the phone out of his pocket and looked at the caller ID. Nick Fury? Why is he looking for me? He must have known about Hydra. Noah thought after seeing the name on the caller ID. The call was from Nick Fury. He had used the Skrull's memory extraction device in Russia and learned about the memories of those Hydra members. He was 100% sure that there were indeed a lot of Hydras in S.H.I.E.L.D. After learning this fact, Nick Fury's mentality almost collapsed. He didn't expect that there was actually a traitor in the bureau he led, and from the memories of these Hydras, he learned that there were quite a few of them. However, Nick Fury quickly returned to normal and began to think about how to deal with Hydra in the bureau. They had already infiltrated the bureau, and they had no way of telling who was Hydra. Currently, they could only find some Hydra members who had contacted and communicated with these 4 people from the memories of these 4 Hydra agents. However, what Nick Fury wants to find most now is the leader of this Hydra. If he can control these leaders, he may be able to find a solution to the problem. However, these Hydra agents learned from the memories they obtained that these people did not seem to have seen the leadership-level Hydra members, so Nick Fury's plan to obtain the memory of the Hydra leader temporarily collapsed. At this time, Nick Fury suddenly thought of Noah, who was the first to tell him that there was a mole in the bureau. According to Noah, he saw some people confronting him in the future, and it seemed that he almost lost his life. Nick Fury thought that maybe asking Noah could get some key information, and he also wanted to get Noah's powerful help. After all, in the current S.H.I.E.L.D., except for Coulson and the other 2, it was really difficult for him to tell whether they were Hydra members. "Hello, Director Fury, what's going on?" Noah asked first after answering the phone. "Noah, I have found out the identities of those people you captured before. They are Hydra. What you saw in the future is real." "Hydra?" Noah asked doubtfully. Of course, he was pretending. He was familiar with the plot and already knew the identity of the Shield's insider. "Yes, they are a very dangerous group. I don't know how many people there are on the other side, so I need your help. Nick Fury invited you to a mission. Okay, call me when you get back from Russia." Then, Noah hung up the phone saying that he was busy with something. Nick Fury looked at the phone and fell into deep thought. After thinking for a while, he decided to call Tony and Rogers when he got back.